Good evening. We'll reconvene the May 11th, 2026 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. Our first item is to report out action taken in closed session. The board took two action items during closed session. The first, a majority of the board voted 4-0 to approve a compromise agreement to resolve potential and threatened claims against the district to date from the parents of a student in exchange for a total not to exceed $30,000 in funding for privately incurred educational services. On closed session item G, the board took action in closed session tonight by a unanimous vote to appoint Ben Piano as the new Executive Director of Administrative Services.
Well, I'll just add to that. Thank you. We're really excited that we took such a great candidate. The board approved Ben Piano, who's sitting right there. And Ben's a known entity in Orinda. He's currently working in Akalani's Union High School District as a principal of Miramani High School. So he's known around town. He's known for his great work. Highly respected educational leader. He's been a principal in middle school, literacy coach, social science teacher, baseball. He's already evaluated our baseball fields. Just in the last 30 seconds, he's been here. I think Ben has overseen such sustained growth at Miramani. Miramani is an excellent, excellent school. So to grow that school academically and with mental health indicators is just a true, we're just really excited to have you. So I will say it's genuine, relationship driven, something that's maybe a little critical in the HR role. So we're just thrilled to have you join us on July 1. So welcome to Orinda, just down the hill. And it's really great to have you. So thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I want to say thank you. Thank you to the board, and so excited to get to work with the staff and the students and our district staff. So thank you. It is bittersweet to leave Miramani, great school, but glad I get to stay in Orinda, and a place I know and love. So thank you all.
Thank you. All right.
All right, and before we move on to our recognitions, I'd like to ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That brings us to our next item, which are our recognitions. We're going to be recognizing first our 2025-26 certificated and classified retirees. I'm just gonna.
All right, thank you, President Shokin. And I'd like to welcome our Board of Trustees, Superintendent Glimming, directors, all of our wonderful retirees. We'll get to know them in a few minutes. And all of our friends, families, and fans who come here to join us in this great celebration. It's an honor every year to be able to celebrate our retirees. So with that, let's begin. So tonight we'll be celebrating the following retirees. We have 8 individuals here. 6 folks were not able to show up this evening, but we'll still celebrate them. And I want you to guess how many years of Orinda Union School District service do we have among our retirees? Throw out a number, someone.
220.
Higher. 250, higher.
380.
268 years. That's the most we've had in many, many, many years for our retirees. And in education, even longer, because some folks came in with years of service prior to coming to Orinda. But OIS in itself, with the representatives who are here this evening, have 154 years of service, which is pretty outstanding, just from OIS. What a great thing, and what a big loss. So with that, let's start. So our process this evening, I'll introduce each retiree from each school site, and please join me at the podium along with your principal. Your administrator will say a few words about each retiree. Each retiree will receive the district's Retiree Golden Bell Award. It's our Oscar Gold, just like the Oscar, makes a lot of noise, and with an appreciation certificate. And at the end of the ceremony, let's gather together for a group photo. I'm using the word let's because you probably saw my let us join together. So with that, Pam Chang and Patsy Templeton, could you come on up, please? So Pam Chang started in the district year 2000, not before the turn of the century, the turn of the century. 26 years as an IA, and she moved into the child care leader position more recently at Sleepy Hollow. And Pam's favorite memory is being a part of a wonderful school community like Sleepy Hollow. And she has so many great memories across the years. Patsy's going to say a few words.
Yeah, I asked a few people, about 60 first graders today. Here's what we have to say. So hello, everyone. We are celebrating Mrs. Chang for 26 years of incredible service to Sleepy Hollow. To your colleagues, Mrs. Chang, you are the ultimate professional. You're organized, you're proactive, you're always ready with a smile. You're patient, you're adaptable, you're always willing to take an initiative, and your hardworking nature is really a true gift to our entire school community. To our first graders, you are their hero.
Oh, okay.
They know you are the one who gives clues when they're stuck on a problem. She doesn't give us the answers, but she gives us the clues. You use your loud voice to keep them safe on the yard, and you're always there with a kind word when someone gets hurt. So for a quarter of a century plus one, you've been a teacher's right hand and a student's safety net. So for Mrs. Chang, we thank you for your dedication, for your wisdom, and for your 26 years of making Sleepy Hollow a special place.
Thank you, Patsy. Okay. We have Myla Vanessa come up. Fourth grade teacher, Myla Rand. Myla started in 2014, so 12 years with the district here. Let me indulge you in a favorite memory, a little story. It's a great story. One year we took our fourth graders on a field trip where they did a science activity and ropes course. Don't be loud. I don't know if you're loud. I had a student who was very scared to go. After encouragement from her family and friends, she decided to go up on the ropes course. She forgot all her fears and just enjoyed. I love that she took a risk and soared. She tried every bit of that course and was the last one to get off the course. We're all so proud of her, but most of all, she was proud of herself of being able to try something new. As educators, we look for ways to show students how to go beyond what they think they're capable of, and that's just what she did. Thank you, Myla. Congratulations.
It's an honor to speak about Mrs. Vanessa this evening. I want to honor her 31 years as a teacher altogether, 31 years, and 12 of those were at Wagner Ridge. She taught at 4 different schools. She taught K to 4 and then 3rd, 4th at Wagner. For many of you who know Wagner Ranch, you know that she taught for many years as the math teacher, the sole math teacher in 4th grade, and then as the reading and science lead. She was Teacher of the Year in 2022. She also has supported our district and our school in many ways in her leadership, stepping up to serve on curriculum council, sunshine team, social studies committee, serving as grade level lead, the tech lead, and webmaster. She's fondly remembered for her passions, which she kindly shares with her students. So we know she's a Green Bay Packers fan. We also know that she is a diehard UC Berkeley. Yeah. And we always are impressed about her jet setting, going around the world, checking out great music, traveling, and we wish you much of that in your retirement, which will also be in sunny SoCal. So you'll be very fondly remembered, staying incredibly cool and calm under pressure with your quiet, steady leadership has guided many, many students through Wagner Ranch and through your 31 years as a teacher. So thank you and congratulations. Thank you.
Eric, you can stay on up here. All right. Katie O'Neill, please join us. Katie, this is her 30th year into Orinda in 1996, so before the turn of the century. That's when I started. So, TK teacher, transitioned to that role when TK became available. Katie's favorite memory, every year I really enjoyed taking students to the nature area. I used to take every class I had to the pond for pond studies. I really enjoyed those experiences, and Eric will share.
Yes, so Sally, congratulations on 3 decades as a teacher. I wanted to share a couple notes about Katie's career, which I think is important to look up. So she was very proud that she started to earn her credential Cal Poly. She worked in Parks and Rec, she taught preschool in college, and she taught at juvenile court school in San Jose, which is San Diego, which was very impactful in your development. Taught in Sacramento and Hayward, and then ended up in Orinda Union at Wagner Ranch, 28 years at Wagner Ranch. She's taught every grade level from TK to 5th, except for 1st. She also has held leadership roles in the district and at the school, curriculum council, school site council, curriculum adoption lead, served as a union rep, a BITSA mentor, and a grade level facilitator, which is a role you hold right now. When I asked Katie what she thought was most special about working in Orinda Union, she mentioned how we value the collaboration on her grade level team and how important that is to take advantage of for the new teachers coming into the ranks. Personally, I'm going to fondly remember all of the wonderful stories you share. You've led a life. It's incredible, and you have much life ahead of you. I hope your retirement finds you spending time outdoors, and I think I'll see you with a nice cup of tea.
Yeah.
So thank you for your service and dedication. Congratulations.
All right. Jude, please come on up. Ours, he's here as well. So favorite memories about Jude. What we're saying about him, what colleagues think about him. Dependable and committed to his work. As a substitute, he cleaned the district office from top to bottom, made everything shine from door handles to kickboards. We've never had a zip line. Mr. Chu always has a positive attitude and great energy and a tireless team player. Andrea.
So tonight, it is my honor to celebrate an incredible member of our school family. Sue. You are retiring after years of dedicated service to our school community. Throughout your time at OIS, you've been far more than an excellent custodian.
Thank you.
You have been reliable, hardworking, and a presence on our campus, and someone who is willing to do whatever it took to keep our campus clean and in tip-top shape. So much so, there was some backfighting on who got you on the campus. You take pride in your work because your work, and it's evident how much pride you take in your work. You were dedicated because it was important that students and staff had a safe and welcoming environment every day when they came to work at school. I have to say that your smile from across campus, something that can brighten anyone's day. I know it certainly brought smiles to ours, staff, and to our students. You consistently go out of your way to say hello, to check in with students and make sure they feel seen, valued, and cared for. Thank you for your years of pride that you brought to OIS. You will always be a part of the OIS family. Once a bulldog, always a bulldog. Good job.
Laura, please come on up and join us. Laura. I am teacher Orinda Intermedia. Laura's favorite memory, my favorite memory while working at OUSD was when I got to chaperone a 2-week field trip with Deborah to Kyoto, Japan, with 10 very funny and energetic OIS. I'm not sure if you have this going on either.
Yeah.
Those are bits.
So tonight, it is my honor to celebrate another one of our wonderful and incredible staff members, Laura Foxworthy. You've spent years inspiring students, both in the classroom and out on the field. Whether it was serving as a science teacher or a coach, you have always led with encouragement, heart, and energy that could brighten any room. Whether you were standing on a chair safely to get your student, I know things. Because making science engaging for students was always your priority. At your core, you are truly a teacher and coach at heart. You always push students to grow, improve, and believe in themselves. Your high energy, tenacious spirit, and passion for helping others has made a lasting impact on your students and your colleagues. You always are willing to step in. I've seen you support your team, your colleagues, and share ideas and help give a helping hand or do whatever is needed. Your positivity and dedication have helped strengthen not only your classroom, but our school community. Students hold her in very high esteem, Laura. Alongside her teaching partner, Deborah Jokish, they have proudly earned the affectionate titles, the OGs of 6th grade. I have truly appreciated the opportunity to work with you this year. Your leadership, humor, and constant support did not go unnoticed. Laura Foxworthy, thank you for the years you have poured into your students, your colleagues, and your school community. You will always be a part of the OIS family. Once again.
Right. Good.
Still here.
Yeah, no problem. Come on up. Science teacher the last couple of years at Orinda Intermediate.
And
And-
robotic.
And robotics.
And leadership.
Leadership.
And
Last couple of years. And all those. Partner, Laura.
Not all
So,
at one time.
29 years. So Deborah's favorite memories, the children I taught over these many years, I love when they get as excited about learning as I get about teaching. The lifelong friendships I built and the garden I put in my first year at OIS. All right, thank you.
So it is my honor to celebrate another extraordinary individual who's a part of the OIS community. And I want to be clear, is the other half of the OG science team. I know.
Square root of G squared.
Oh,
There we go.
okay. Deborah, you have inspired generations of students through your passion for science, your care for each child, and your unwavering commitment to our campus. Beyond the classroom walls, you've served as a steward of our school garden. You've built it, you've belabored over it, you've come in and cleaned it up on the weekends, you've made it a commitment that our school community is beautiful and that kids have an opportunity to engage. You have been an environmental advocate and a reliable volunteer ready to assist whenever needed. Your readiness to give your students whatever they need to help support them in whatever subject you're teaching, students have shared. Again, that's what makes it a OG. More importantly though, Deborah, you have a unique gift, and I've seen it in the room, to make students feel seen and supported and genuinely excited about learning. On a personal note, I want to share I've cherished the opportunity to collaborate with you this year. Your positivity and wisdom and your heartfelt dedication to OIS has been a profound influence. We are proud and grateful for you and your years of service. Your legacy will flourish and bloom for years to come. Your love of science will not ever go away. Your garden will not go away, and we appreciate you. So Deborah, thank you for everything you have given. You will always be a part of the OIS family.
Once well done.
Right, and Adam Miller, come on up. Science teacher, 34 years, our most senior. Yeah, our memories about Adam. We love his enthusiasm for teaching science. He shows it every day. He has a unique ability to bring science to life in ways that students can understand and connect with. Students generally enjoy learning in his classroom. That's it.
Thank you. So Adam, I believe after 30 years at OAS, it is hard for many to imagine it without you. Well, over 34. Or over 30. You have become a part of the OAS community. I believe my first week of school, somebody said that this is Adam Miller Science Wing. For decades, you have inspired generations of students. Your passion for science, your creativity, and from what I have seen, make learning come alive. You have a unique gift for making science tangible and exciting for students, whether it's outside building rockets, designing hands-on experience, finding new ways to capture students' attentions. You made learning feel real, meaningful, and fun. Even when things were not working out correctly, it was pulling me into the room and asking, how do we make it bigger, better, and more for everyone in the department? Your classroom has always been a place of curiosity, discovery, and energy, where students were encouraged to ask questions and explore ideas and see themselves as scientists. Students, from what I've heard, love being in your class because they always knew how much you love science, no matter what it was you were doing that day. Beyond the lessons and experiences, you were always a strong advocate for the kids and a great colleague. After 3 decades, your impact on OIS community is clearly measurable. Thank you, Adam Miller, for your dedication, your innovation, your rockets that will continue, and for all that you've done. Say it with me. You will always be a part of life. Once a bulldog, always a bulldog. I'm coming.
Okay.
I know.
I could say my favorite memory.
Okay. No, it's okay.
Yeah. But my favorite memory, being hired by 3 different superintendents here. Yes. Of the 11 years I was here, left, be back, and then I retired and then rehired. It's great. Having the pleasure of working with so many great students and families throughout the years and working alongside the many talented, dedicated classified staff, teachers, and administrators across my career, which is 36 years. It's completion. Year 36. I'm the old one. All right.
So Brian, I don't know a little bit about the process when we put the agenda together. They all come for Angel's and I approval, and then once we approve it, they can't change it anymore. His name was not on there. His name was not on this list, so
Because I
we changed it.
developed
We changed it, and then didn't allow him to undo it because, of course, we have to recognize you, Brian. You're not here for fall board meetings. But with that, Brian has been my right and left hand. I will say the first thing that comes to my mind is how quick Brian is. You're quick and you're funny and truly passionate and caring. His background, is, for those of you who don't know, is in special education and as a psychologist, which is 2 really good backgrounds to have when you're in HR and student services. He clearly deeply cares about people. He understands people as a psychologist, and you treat us all individually. So it's, you really care deeply about the schools. It is not easy to change your superintendents. And we just immediately fell in together. If you know anything about our office locations, we are feet apart. If we're too loud on the phone, we hear each other, and we're both very loud people. We can hear each other, but I think we've come to be in sync to the point where we can read each other's thoughts. There's often time I will look right across and we know exactly what we're thinking without any kind of words exchanged. He's truly a people person and cares about every single teacher and every single staff member in this school. When there's something that happens on the site, Brian is quick to just go over there and deal with it in person. And also, if there's a principal that's out, like our elementary school principals, Brian is the first out of the directors to sign up to be the sub in charge as a principal because he wants to be out there, he wants to see what's going on, and he truly cares. And then in a small district like ours, You do everything. This is our HR department. This is also our student services department. So you have to be a visionary, you have to have goals, you have to know the big picture, and then you gotta do it all. And I think Brian just does that so well. I couldn't be happier to have worked with you. This is very bittersweet. I feel like I'm losing a true partner here. So thank you. I know you have a couple
Appreciate
more
that,
months, but really appreciate for all that you've done.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I appreciate Orinda, the number of board members I've worked with over the years, and Lori for quite a while.
Just a minute.
Kelly over the past 5 years, that's been really great. Past administrative assistants have been wonderful. And past superintendents, each superintendent I've worked with, you have a new way of doing things and you adapt and all. Yeah, I was trying to calculate, because as administrator, I've been to a number of different schools and districts, and this certainly, when I moved to the East Bay, this was a favorite place to learn, so.
Yay. Well, thank you, Brian. We have your bell, of course, which we see in the order for him, and
I'll
his
take it myself.
certificate.
Thank you.
And then Brian loves to be in his garden and
Yard.
and watch things grow. So I just want to plant
you
this,
very
and then
much.
you can think about it.
Thank you.
And not to mention the teacher Orinda, want to say, this is extremely bittersweet. We love you. You were everything that we needed. Like they said, you came right out to us, connected, empathized with us, helped us through tough things, celebrated with us. This is truly heartfelt. Thank you. Your dedication. Right.
You may finish your presentation.
All right. So congratulations to the following 6 retirees who are not able to be with us tonight. Artis Atkins, 17 years in the district. She was our district office data information specialist. Mary Brakefield, a payroll specialist, 24 years, Mary, and all of our employees, you know who Mary Brakefield was. Terry Eubanks, 30 years at OIS as our public speaking and debate teacher. Congratulations to those 3. We have Sarah Murphy, 2 years as an IA at Sleepy Hollow, retiring from teaching. Janet Robinson, 8 years at Sleepy Hollow as an art teacher. And Stuart Watson, retired a couple months ago, 4 years here in the district as a director of facilities and maintenance. So congratulations to all our retirees, these individuals, and thank you. And retire, as I said, it's beginning where every day is like a second. Yes.
Before we do a picture, if that's what you were thinking, I wanted to give the board a chance to add anything to that. It was really well done, but anyone have anything to add?
I don't have much of a voice, I apologize, but just congratulations to all of our retirees. Like personally, my kids have had some of you over the years. Brian, I've had the privilege of working with you, for quite a number of years now, and it's been such an honor. Terry was quite instrumental in my eldest child's public speaking career that continued all the way through Miramani, and she's not doing it in college, but it certainly has served her well. So I'm just very grateful and appreciative of all the extensive, number of years that are reflected with all of our retirees this year. So thank you.
As Hillary said, and what's been echoed in everyone's remarks, thank you for your dedication. And I mean, we have teachers that have been here as much as 34 years, which I think really speaks to how much you love the job and students and people that you work with. And so thank you and good luck to your next chapter.
You all are the heart of our school district, and each of you has given yours completely, as we heard from the principals, to our students, our classrooms, our wonderful community, and your dedication, your patience, and love have shaped generations of young minds that ripple far beyond these walls and the schools in which you taught. So thank you. Congratulations on a beautiful retirement. And you've more than earned joy and rest. So thank you.
Thank you to all of you. Congratulations. Your careers are so meaningful and impactful. I think when you put all those years together, it really hits me every year that we do this, how important the work that you have spent your time doing. It has been for students and families in the whole community, regardless of your role. All those roles are incredibly important. So thank you. You'll be missed at our schools and in our community, but congratulations and enjoy your retirement. Let's take a picture.
Come on up, all our retirees.
Right up there before.
No. I didn't back. Yeah, right here.
Saying once it's like, oh, it's that's on all the emails now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, these people.
Yeah, I have to read hard. You're It's the report.
It's just, I know, it's right here.
Each of it.
Yes. Oh, you should have. That was my favorite moment.
All right, we're gonna continue with all the good times. As soon as get some more seats. So, clearly it takes a village. We always hear about that. It takes a village to raise a child. I feel like that, in our district as well. It takes, all of us, to be an excellent, district. We just honored some really wonderful educators, administrators, support staff. So we know we have an excellent staff. But we really actually could not do it all without, the community support. And that's what we want to honor and recognize right now. And with that community support, it's our parent volunteers. And you do that in so many different ways. You're either in our cafeterias, helping out with food lines, you're going to field trips, you're going into classrooms, supporting either special events or different classroom activities. And then you work tirelessly also to support us financially. So tonight, we're going to just honor a few of you that are maybe leaving these certain roles. But I hope this is really a message to all that we're so dependent on the support of this community, and just want to thank the entire, all the parents that help us out. So with that, we're going to honor a few people that have served quite a bit of time in their roles. So before I get to the school sites, I'd actually like, Yasmin's not here. Yasmin's not here, but we have Sandy Matthews, come on up, and Brad Nicole, come on up. You don't get a bell. But you do get a certificate, and we need, something else to hold. So hold on, I don't leave yet. So just you can remember us by by some really long-lasting succulents. But why are we honoring Brad and Sandy and Yaz, if she was here? In 2018, our community passed 2 bonds totaling $105 million. That is it. Thank you. I mean, since 2018, we have been planning, designing, and ultimately remodeling all aspects of our campuses. I mean, from pathways to bathrooms, to new windows, to the exciting insulation, HVAC systems, I have it. And we actually have 2 new buildings that have made our campuses safer, better for our students to learn in, and just absolutely increase and improve the environment of our schools. We have a committee of citizens that oversees our processes. And Brad and Sandy were part of that committee. So they are part of the Citizens Oversight Committee that reviews literally every dollar, every project down to line item by line item to make sure that we're acting ethically, that we're doing things legally, and that the voters who voted for these $105 million are getting what they actually voted for. So that's their job. Mika does all the crunching, and then they crunch way more. So we just hand them over spreadsheets and spreadsheets of data, and they look through it and make sure that everything is done perfectly well. You are one of the most involved committees I've ever been a part of, and I mean that in a really good way. So this is a massive job. And Yaz, Sandy, and Brad have actually been there since 2018. I think possibly even before, when Yaz was running the election. So since the birth of this bond, they're highly detail-oriented, making sure everything's accounted for. And they're also highly invested in our schools. They care about that the construction is done well. They go and visit our school sites to make sure and see what we've built. So I cannot imagine what this is going to look like next year. They're rolling off because they're termed out, not because they want to leave us. But I just don't even know what CBOC meetings will be without you 3 there. So thank you for the many hours you've spent just keeping us in check and monitoring and supporting actually the most. So really appreciate all the great work that you've done. It'll be hard to replace. Yeah. And you can stick it for your annual report.
Yes. See what it sounds like.
There you go. Okay, and we also wanted to honor a few parents. And our principals are here to help us out with that. But there are only a few parents that are brave enough to take on a role of a parent club president. So these individuals spend countless hours supporting our schools, organizing events, supporting our staff, and taking the huge job of fundraising, which is a massive task and so critical in our district. I had the pleasure of interacting on multiple occasions to see them work their magic and constantly strive to improve our schools. So since our principals work so closely with them, I will call on you and I will just be traditionally down the alphabetical order. So come on, Maple. Hey.
I know Aida says you get to work so closely with our PC presidents. I feel extra lucky that I get to work so closely with Sean Newman. She literally works right outside my office every day. So as our school attendance clerk, and it has been a pleasure to have her partnership, not just so close by, but just in so many different ways. In addition to being Parents Club president and our attendance clerk, Shauna navigates just multiple hats and the multiple roles that she has as a parent as well on our school site. She does all of this with professionalism, care, and heart, and she navigates everything she does with so much heart and kindness. Sorry. She has such a welcoming spirit, and because of her, I think her dedication and her volunteerism is contagious at our site. This year, we've seen more new families step forward to volunteer and take on leadership opportunities in events that our Parents Club run and are a part of. It's such a reflection of her inclusive and welcoming spirit that Sean has.
She really understands what we value at Delray, and she contributes to a school community where all of us as students, staff, and families feel connected. And she's been such a genuine partner in all of that work. Scarlett and Freddie, I know how much, Freddie's not here, but I know how much you adore your mom, and we at Delray adore her just as much. Thank you so much for sharing her with us. She has worked very, very hard this year. Sean, you get to hang up your PC president hat at the end of this year. You're still going to be giving us your heart and your care, and just for that, we are so grateful. Thank you.
Megan.
Okay, Kate. I want to start by first saying thank you for stepping into the role as co-parent, co-president 2 years ago. Although I'm pretty sure you were very much talked into it, so thank you for accepting that. Your partnership and leadership over the last 2 years has not only helped support our school, but also helped move our school forward. From starting our very first walkathon last year to raising the bar of $75,000 this year in our second year, to planning a new parent party instead of our traditional auction of our hoedown, to starting our Sunset Social, and to finally getting our TKK playground built. None of this would have been possible without your leadership in GBC. You helped navigate some tricky situations with ease and positivity. And I know you're still going to be around at Orinda and part of our GPC in the next years to come. But I will also miss our weekly check-ins and meetings. So thank you for all your dedication these last 2 years and for being an amazing partner both to me and to our school. So thank you. Andrea. So I feel very fortunate because I know how much time you've given to schools. And I know how much you've given to OAS, so I get to be your final second from Orinda Union School District. So it feels very special to me. Coming in as a principal, you're excited about a lot of things, and I always am very excited to partner with parents. It is a true partnership, and meeting you, it's going to be a good partnership. Brittany, your impact on OAS and Orinda has been nothing short of remarkable. You have been tireless, you volunteered, you have had boundless generosity, you have significantly strengthened the connections between families, our staff, and our students. I always see you striving to make our school a better place, even when no one is looking. You are the one who is making things happen in the front of the campus so that when we pull in, wonderful things are there. To creating a warm and inviting place for our staff when they come into the staff room. But Brittany, I have to say, because of individuals like you, OAS continues to be a wonderful place. You have left a legacy. And I want to say that I feel very jealous of your line. On a personal note, working alongside you this year has been a joy. I feel exceptionally fortunate that I've had the opportunity to learn about OIS through your lens. Your absence will be felt. Thank you for everything you've done for OIS. I look forward to hearing how things go now. Once pulled up.
And Betsy, did you want to say something? Just say thank you to Erica?
Sure. Well, oh, sure.
Always happy to.
You can take the flowers and the recognition. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, on behalf of CPL.
Thank you, Pat.
Right.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So this was a pleasure to write. As well, I'm gonna try a Portuguese word. We know Laura Viana is from Brazil, right? So does this mean anything to you? Jeitinho? Okay. So I believe this is defined as a cultural aspect used to navigate challenges, relying on creativity and social connection to find solutions. And when I was thinking about all that you do for us at Wagner Edge, I really thought about your commitment to collectivism and unity and your ability to bring people together. And that's how you approach your leadership role with the parent community and partnership with the educators. And you got us through really smooth times in positivity and collaboration. So is that an effective way?
The Brazilian way, they do
This is what she brings to my. I wish we could bottle this and keep it around forever. We're very sad to lose you. Your support and your partnership and your leadership. But we'll always remember the kindness and community. I want to shout out some of the aspects of Wagner Ranch that you've helped revitalize with your hard work and diligence. The library space with our new mural, our school playground services, our school garden, our NPR theater stage area in general, outdoor furnishings, outdoor storage, and new recreational opportunities for our playground, amongst much else. And, our vision statement concludes with the phrase, work to make the world a better place. And you do that by your commitment to community and bring people together. You truly made Wagner a better place. We very much appreciate you for it. We're losing Laura to Texas. But we will miss you, and you will always be a Wagner Ranch Rocky. And we're all better.
Thank you all. Sorry, if we have a different mascot now. Thank you so much. We'd love to take a picture of our, everybody who gets recognized and move on with our agenda. You come on up, that'd be great.
Before you come up, I just want to say
Oh,
thank
I'm
you to
so
all of
sorry.
you. I mean, you need another thank you, but I'll say thank you again. For your time that you gave freely and a lot of, and your dedication, your positivity, all that you bring to our campus. It gets so many hours and expertise that sometimes aren't visible to everybody. And thank you for that. It really does make our schools exceptional. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Come on down. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. You too.
Okay, we'll move on to item 6, which is our public comment period. At the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, the public may comment on items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the governing board. For items on the agenda, the public may comment at the time the board considers the agenda item. For items not on the agenda, the public may comment under item 6A, public comment. The Board of Trustees requested individuals who would like to address the Board of Trustees on an item do so by filling out a request to address the OUSD school board card and turning it into the superintendent prior to the agenda item. Cards are available at the meeting. Comments are limited to not more than 3 minutes. Groups are asked to limit their comments to a total of 5 minutes. The board shall limit the total time of public comment to 20 minutes. To comply with the Brown Act, the board may listen to comments from the speakers, but can neither discuss nor take action on the issues presented. Is there any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Okay, so we'll move on to item 7, which are action items and public hearings. Item A is Resolution 2622, recognizing and honoring Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Yeah, so we actually have 3 resolutions coming up, and the first 2 are connected to our Heritage Months, and the first one being honoring the Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage, as you just mentioned. Sarah will actually talk just a little bit about the resources about both of these for Resolution A and B. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so we're excited. This is actually, as you may be aware, this is our first year of honoring each of these months. And we had a group of teachers developing resources over the summer and the beginning of this year. And so we have resources that are OUSD developed and also shared resources through the Brentwood School District, who has wonderful resources as well, and also the county office to honor Asian American Pacific Islander Month, and then also LGBTQIA+ Pride Month, which is traditionally scheduled for June, but we want to honor in May because otherwise we lose the opportunity to engage students in the material and the lessons. So everywhere, for everything from when it comes to LGBTQ+ IA month, around the rainbow and what does that mean, to our different types of families, to Asian American Pacific Islander Month, which is all the many beautiful different Asian cultures that exist in America, and honoring their history and their representation, all the different ways they contribute to make up this wonderful community we live in. So we'll actually continue to build out those resources because eventually the goal is to have all of our resources be Orinda Union created. But right now we do have a nice blend, I think, a really good blend of county resources and Brentwood resources. So.
Thank you, Sarah. So we have the resolution for number 2622.
Sure, so we'll read it out loud before discussion. Anna, can you start?
Of course. Whereas in 1990, Congress voted to expand Asian Pacific heritage from a week to a month-long celebration of the significant contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders to the history of the United States. And in May 1992, the month of May was permanently designated as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. And
whereas the state of California is home to more than 600,000 students of Asian and Pacific Islander descent, transitional kindergarten through grade 12, and
whereas understanding Asian and Pacific Islander history is an important part of celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and
whereas, despite the hardships and barriers of the past, the people of Asia and the Pacific Islands who came to this country and their descendants have made substantial contributions to California's economic growth and development and have woven clear, distinct threads into the state's social fabric. And
whereas the California State Board of Education recognizes in its policy statement on multicultural education that each student needs an opportunity to understand the common humanity underlying all people, to develop pride in their own identity and heritage, and to understand, respect, and accept the identity and heritage of others. And
whereas Asian Pacific Heritage Month is celebrated annually at the local, state, and national levels, and
whereas the Asian American and Pacific Islander community is an inherently diverse population composed of more than 45 distinct ethnicities and more than 100 language dialects, and
Whereas in the Orinda Union School District, approximately 20% of the student population identify as Asian, Filipino, or Pacific Islander, and
Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Orinda Union School District that May 2026 is designated as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and encourages all schools to commemorate this occasion with appropriate instructional materials.
okay, so before we vote on this resolution, is there any discussion or comment? Questions?
Just wanted to thank Sarah for, all your work on bringing this and all the supporting work, going into schools as well.
Critically important, and I'm glad the students can see themselves in our materials. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for bringing both of these and for the resources that you've attached to them as well. Do you have any public comment? No public comments. We do. Oh,
Sorry. On A or B? On all the resolutions, yeah. Hi, I'm Charles Shannon, President of the Orinda Education Association. I want to take this moment. It's very special to all of us here in Orinda, not just the teachers. So on behalf of the Orinda Education Association, I want to extend our sincere gratitude for your commitment to our diverse student body and staff. Your dedication honoring AAPI heritage and prioritizing mental health awareness reinforces the values of empathy and wellness we strive to uphold in our schools. In particular, we want to thank the board for its leadership of bringing the LGBTQ+ awareness into the month of May. This has been something really important to me. I've been here 20 years, and I can say that this is huge. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So thank you for taking this proactive stand for the safety and belonging of our LGBTQ+ students, our AAPI students, and all those who are faced with mental health. This is important. It's through the leadership of Aida Glimi that our district is becoming more inclusive. And I want to thank the board also for, as well, in making this district a very inclusive place, a destination district that we're all proud to be at. So thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Charles. So we will vote on resolution 2622 first. Is there a motion? So moved. I'll second. Mrs. Hillary. Trustee Valencia-Coleman?
Aye.
Trustee Anantava?
Aye.
Vice President Weiner? Aye. President Shogun? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, and Sarah's already spoken to the next one as well, but before we discuss it any further, we will read this one aloud as well. So this is resolution 2623. Etta?
Of course. Whereas the mission of the Orinda Union School District is to be a learning community that inspires, engages, and supports all students. And
whereas the district is committed to fostering a strong sense of belonging by ensuring that all students, families, staff, and community members feel welcomed, valued, and included across all school sites. And
whereas public education serves families of diverse backgrounds, and it is our collective responsibility to ensure that every member of our school community is valued and respected, regardless of gender identity, gender expression, or sexual orientation. And
whereas it is the policy of the Orinda Union School District to provide all individuals, including those who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and ally, LGBTQIA+, with equal access to a high-quality, non-discriminatory public education. And
whereas LGBTQIA+ youth experience disproportionately higher rates of bullying, harassment, mental health challenges, and barriers to social and academic success. And
whereas education builds awareness and understanding of LGBTQIA+ identities and promotes respect, empathy, and appreciation for LGBTQIA+ students, staff, and community members. And
whereas recognizing Pride Month affirms the district's commitment to policies, practices, and curriculum that honor and respect LGBTQIA+ individuals.
now, therefore, be it resolved that the Orinda Union School District hereby recognizes June 2026. May 2026?
Well, recognizing June in
Early,
May.
okay. Recognizes June 2026 as LGBTQIA+ Pride Month and reaffirms its commitment to fostering equity, inclusion, and allyship, honoring the diversity of our community and maintaining a safe, supportive, and welcoming educational environment for all.
Just to clarify, so it's still June, but we moved it a month earlier to make sure that the curriculum department can
send out the resources, and then they're incorporated in schools in May.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you for moving it, and since our students are not in school in June.
Right.
Okay, ready? Any further comments from the board?
I just want to say, I appreciate that our district is doing this in a time where something like this might not be happening with what's going on. So I am just very proud as well that we are doing this.
I agree.
That's great. Thank you, Benita, for that. Is there any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Yes, thank you for saying that. Appreciate it.
Okay, so this is on for action. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Anita, I second.
Trustee Collins-Coleman?
Aye.
Trustee Nakapona?
Aye.
Vice President Wiener? Aye. President Shogun?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, our next resolution is Resolution 2624, Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah, so this is the last resolution that we have, and that's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I think we've spent the last couple of board meetings actually really with a high focus on mental health. So in March, we presented a lot of the Healthy Kids data, and we were really excited to present so many of our indicators around mental health moving in the right direction, and seeing improvement across our elementary and middle school sites with all sorts of the measuring metrics that measure mental health. And then last month, we heard from our wonderful counseling team around all the services that they provide at our schools. So we're mental health, connectedness, feelings of belonging is so critical for our students when they're learning. They cannot learn if they don't feel good at the school site. So this continues to be a major focus. We're excited that we have such good staffing and such strong support at all of our sites as we celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month.
Thank you. We will read this one aloud as well before any discussion. Etta?
All right. Whereas May has been designated National Mental Health Awareness Month in the United States since 1949 by the Mental Health America organization, and
Whereas the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that 13 to 20% of youth ages 13 to 18 have a diagnosed mental health disorder in the United States, and
Whereas the average age of early signs of mental illness is 14 when most students are entering high school, and
Whereas National Survey of Drug Use and Health data shows mental health diagnoses, suicide rates, non-suicidal self-injury such as cutting, and emergency room visits for students experiencing mental health issues are all on the rise. And
whereas the CDC has declared that suicide is the second leading cause of death among youth ages 15 to 19 years old, and
whereas the number of children ages 6 to 12 who have visited children's hospitals for suicidal thoughts or self-harm has more than doubled since 2016, according to the Children's Hospital Association, and
whereas schools that implement comprehensive mental health systems see improved academic performance, fewer special education placements, decreased disciplinary actions, and higher graduation rates, and
whereas spreading awareness of the importance of mental health can help people realize the many ways in which mental health impacts them and those around them, and can provide the opportunity to learn about available services. And
whereas Orinda Union School District, through its unique approach to serving children and adolescents, is committed to caring for the mental health needs of children, youth, and families in our community, and
whereas the Orinda Union School District pledges to continually assess and improve the range of educational services provided by our schools and the district's employed mental health professionals to meet the varying needs of our students with mental health concerns, and
whereas Orinda Union School District acknowledges that educating our students with mental health concerns requires commitment to meaningful collaboration with families, community members, and local healthcare professionals.
now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Orinda Union School District that May 2026 is designated as Mental Health Awareness Month and encourages students, staff, families, and community members to participate in activities, educational programs, and conversations that promote mental health awareness and well-being. And
be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Orinda Union School District commits to continuing efforts in providing mental health resources, professional development for staff, and policies that prioritize the mental health and emotional well-being of all individuals within our schools.
thank you. there any discussion or questions?
I just would like to thank you for bringing this really comprehensive resolution. It's really critical based upon everything that we've, heard from our counselors and our Healthy Kids Survey results, that we continue to prioritize the mental health of our students and staff.
I agree, and I think having these facts within the resolution is very powerful.
And I'm just grateful for our community for continuing the wellness program at each school. We are fortunate to have that in this area, in this country. And so really thankful to the parents for doing that for us and our students.
We had our wellness update last month, right? So I said the same thing, but I think it's really an extraordinary piece of our district that we have that staffing at all the schools and all the resources there. So it's been a priority for us, and I think it's really valuable. Is there any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Okay, this one is also on for action.
This is Hillary. I move that the board adopt resolution 26-24, recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month.
This is Heather, second.
Trustee Nantavat? Aye. Trustee Collins-Coleman?
Aye.
Vice President Leader?
Aye.
President Shogun?
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, our next action item is item D, 2024-25 Annual Report of the Parcel Tax Independent Citizens Oversight Committee.
Okay. Carl, come on up. So we earlier heard a little bit about the Bond Oversight Committee. We also have a Parcel Tax Oversight Committee. And one big difference between those two committees is actually that the Bond Committee is legally required. The Parcel Tax Committee is something that the district decides on to implement for full transparency and citizen oversight. So Carl has been making this report for years, and we thank him for that as well. He's not leaving us yet, so he didn't get any succulents. But go for it.
Member of the committee, how you doing? I'm Carl Richtenberg, member of and presenting on behalf of the Independent Citizens Parcel Tax Oversight Committee to do our annual report as required by all three ballots, A, B, and Z. So
Let me know how you want me to.
just start. I'll just go say next slide. All right, so there we go. So just a brief overview. I'm sure everybody's aware, but we have three parcel taxes, A, B, and Z, total of 804 per parcel. And these have been in the ballot language specifically for maintaining smaller class sizes and retaining talented educators and basically overall academic support. The parcel tax is static, so it doesn't go up every year, and that'll lead into some other stuff later on. But these are the three measures we have, and this is what the committee basically looks at every year. Next slide. Okay, briefly, how the money is accounted for and moves through the system. The county treasurer collects the taxes, obviously on our property tax statements. The county treasurer will hold the funds and encode them with what's called a standardized accounting code, which is state defined, and then holds it in the treasury. The school district will, using those codes, direct the treasury to pay, in our case, for the district teacher salary and benefits. And then a small service fee for the parcel tax, which if you can talk about that later, but it's tiny. Okay,
Should
yeah,
forward?
we can move forward, yeah. So here's how much parcel tax revenue came in, almost $6 million. The district has a local ERP software called Munis, which has its codes and includes the standardized accounting code structure that the state uses. Those are the two numbers on the left. The one on the left is the local ERP, and the one on the right is the state. And then on the right side, it is just the state account codes. What they do is, the district was nice enough to provide us with a detailed report of every line item on this. And what we can do is see that parcel tax revenue comes in and what all the credits and debits are. And what we can verify is that all the in and outs on the funds fall within these two buckets, which absolutely comply with the ballot language for reducing class size and retaining talented educators. See, yes, okay, we can move to the next one. And in addition to having us the independent committee look at it, there's obviously a system of checks and balances, which make sure that there's verification and that
what is done, it complies with the ballot language. The first is on the left side, we have the local system. In the middle, we have an independent auditor, which will do their annual audit, as you're aware of, and then they will also check and verify the code mapping. In other words, ballot language, parcel tax can only be spent on X, Y, and Z, particularly educators. The county office, as well as the state, will not accept a report from the district unless the outgoing money matches the incoming money and the ballot language. So you have almost a triple system of checking to make sure that there's no mistakes and that the funds can't accidentally be spent on something else other than what it's intended for by the ballot language. Okay, and here's a brief overview. As you can see, the last 2 years bars, that's because of Measure Z, but it's about 13% of the district budget revenue comes in from the parcel tax. We'll just move on to the next one. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And then here's a breakdown of the spending. The dark green is basically salaries, and then the light green is the benefits. The top little yellow orange bar, that's basically a service to audit the parcels to make sure that all the parcels that should be paying are paying, and that there's no, sometimes the county doesn't keep track as good a track as it could have. So that's spent on that. So now I'm going to move to the outcome-based. This is not specifically parcel tax because the outcome on the student's education and class size is a district-wide effort. Not parents, the fund from the state, parcel tax, and donations, et cetera. But as you can see, the second from the bottom line is what A and B were doing in terms of the amount of teacher equivalent. You can't actually say actual teachers because teachers make different amounts. But if you average the amount and create an absolute average teacher, that's the amount of teachers for the OUSD district that A and B paid for, which was 36 and it was down to 26. But then Z came in and Z was paying for 16, now paying for approximately 14. And the reason why it's paying for fewer and fewer teachers is because the price of education is going up. The parcel taxes remain flat. They don't go up. So the buying power diminishes each year. And that's why we have to keep doing this, so to speak. But if you think about, almost 50 teachers across the district are funded by this, which makes a tremendous difference. So we'll move to that. Yeah, and here's one of the, that's another outcome, again, district-wide, which includes the parcel tax, but you can see Orinda is one of the lowest funded districts per student compared to other high-performing districts. So I just listed them before, and there's only K through 8 high-performing districts, so we can do a better like-for-like as opposed to including high school. Almost half of some of the other places like Reed Union. But despite that, as you can see on the right side, this is from the CASP website, Orinda Union has the highest ELA CASP scores compared to all these districts, significantly higher than some places that are almost $10,000 a year per kid, higher funded than Orinda Union. And the math score is up there as well, number 2, just behind Saratoga Union. But this is a tremendous result for the amount of money being funded to get these results. Just shows that the district is doing a really good job at efficiently spending the money to generate the kind of results as parents we want to see our kids well prepared to go to high school and beyond. These are just some of the charts. I'm sure anybody who's really interested in this have seen the trends in the CASP scores. So this is the English and then math. And let's go back to the English. This is really good because we're back to pre-COVID highs, which if you look at all the other districts, this is a struggle nationally. So this is a great outcome. And then, like I said, we scored higher than most of other comparable high-performing districts. And the math is returning back, and so that's very encouraging as well.
Carl has challenged us to increase our math scores beyond Saratoga. So. These are lengthy discussions after our meetings.
And this is the performance dashboard, which is a commonly used metric that parents to decide to move into this town or some other town based on the schools. And then here we go, just a quick one on average class sizes of OUSD compared to some of the other districts in the area. As you can see, the money does produce a lower class size. Now, I don't want to get into debate whether a class size equals higher performance, et cetera. There's all kinds of research out there. But as a parent, you always want to know that your kid has as much attention as possible from the teacher, especially if they need time and extra work. So this is a great result as well. So our conclusion is that, yes, the district has complied with the ballot language. The money in and money out matches and complies with the ballot language, and Furthermore, we're very happy with the results, because we should have them earlier in some of the slides. That is it.
Thank you. Thanks for your time putting this together and doing this oversight work. I think it's actually, I know it's optional or, at the district's discretion, but I think it's actually very helpful to know the checks and balances and that citizens have some insight into how this money is being used. So thank you.
No problem.
I would agree with that. I mean, I think this transparency is really important, especially knowing that Measure Z does have an end date and that we will have to go back out to the community if we want to be able to maintain the.
I think it's a great, I didn't know about this when I first started, but the more I've done this, I've looked at it, bang for the buck for the people in Orinda. This is bar none the best investment we can make. For $800 a year, we have something that's better than a lot of private schools and some of the places where houses are a lot more expensive and taxes are a lot higher. So this is a great investment. I think. And I hope that, I think if more of this information would come out and people would look at where the scores come from and how the budget's allocated, a lot of the confusion around the use of this money might be alleviated.
I know this is on our website, but is it possible to share it out either in your upcoming update or the principals? Because it's really critical that.
Yeah, we'll be sharing it on a Friday.
Okay, great.
Monthly communication.
Yeah, I think that, and in particular, I don't think the CASP scores are talked about enough.
Right.
I mean, we're better than almost all the K-8 districts in Palo Alto and out here. And that's we should be really proud of that. And surprisingly, nobody knows. So.
When are you going on your road show?
I know.
Thank you for your time.
The campaign.
I mean, the more Carl's been involved, the more positive he's been around what we've done. So that actually.
Yeah, I also serve on I'm actually the head of the Aqualines Union Audit Committee too. They're required by law, and this is a lot cleaner. I got to tell you, because all the money is spent directly on teacher salary. It's very easy to understand, and I think I the district is doing a great job. It's very.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to say thank you to John Chabalco, who just joined the committee. So he's been to one meeting and yes, you don't also get a second one. But we really appreciate the work that Carl's done and joining in. This item is up for acceptance, so accept the report.
Is there any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Okay, so this is on for action. Is there a motion?
This is Hillary. I move that the board approve the 2024-2025 annual report of the Parcel Tax Independent Citizens Oversight Committee.
This is Anita. I second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, next.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. The 2024-25 Citizens Bond Oversight Committee Annual Report.
Okay. Mr. Kelly is our chair, and he does a phenomenal job, and he's going to tell us all about the bond audit.
Good evening. It would be remiss of me not to mention another founding member of the CBOC. Wayeda has stolen much of the thunder, but we're mandated to present a report. So here we go. Clark Wallace was one of the founding members along with Yaz and Brad and Sandy. And I can recall playing basketball at Pine Grove Middle School. And he was involved in the extremely difficult decision to go with one middle school, OIS. OIS is great, but along with it, we had to decide, what do we do with Pine Grove? And you're basically, where you are is basically where Pine Grove was. So just want to mention, I played tennis with Clark many times. What a great gentleman and what a loss. We have nothing but good to say in our report, and it's characterized by strong governance, follow through. I can recall talking with former Superintendent Seaton about her vision. And then the board chair at the time, I believe, Carl Hoxie, said, this is what we need to do. And $105 million later, and if you walk around to all the schools, from parents to kids, they have nothing but good things to say. Discipline execution, Superintendent Seaton left it to our new superintendent, Lemmy, to do the bricks and mortar bit. But with the two stewards, we're almost done. both of the major projects are complete. What we mean by that, we mean the Sleepy Hollow multipurpose room, the student services building at OIS, and of course, heating and air conditioning. You know, I drive by Glorietta School 3 or 4 times a week. When I see that sign that says founded, I don't know, 1947 or 49, I can recall playing softball there, but things have changed. And we see a clear path to the finish line. IATA has promised that if we make our final report to the board at this month in 2028, she's going to share some Asti Spumani with us. Now on to the report itself. This text on the first page, a couple of years ago, our auditors had a little difficulty, and we finally got them to understand how to add and get up to 105 million. We leave it to brilliant people and very dedicated people like Mika to make sure that the Measure E expenses are allocated to Measure E, and the Measure I expenses are allocated to Measure I. If you read the text of the two, you can get confused. But we have Mika to make sure we don't get confused. Measure E focuses on STEM. Measure I, if nothing else, focuses on air conditioning. And to think that you have a school like Glorietta, how many years to do without meaningful air conditioning?
75.
Oh, okay. Now let's go to the next page, please. Here are just a couple comments I want to make. We had site tours during the 24-25 school year. A couple site tours. I have not been to Wagner. I drive by it frequently, but I've not toured there. So on my bucket list, before I am firmed out, I hope to get to Wagner. Not necessarily the nature area. I guess the John Muir Land Trust has taken that over. I'm involved with that, so I'll talk to them. And one thing I have to share, this, you may get a kick out of this. There's a statement, no members of the public attended. However, we did get an email from our local Orinda gadfly, Mr. Warnock, accusing the CBOC of violating the Brown Act. And it turns out he got his oversight committees confused. It was actually another oversight committee that I won't mention, but it was not the CBOC. Now let's move to the next page, the charts. And here you see we're in the wind down phase. We start with 48 million of assets. We spend more than we take in because we already have 105. We don't have revenue to speak of other than interest. And so we're down to 32 million at the end of the 24-25 year. I will mention 105 billion. We have more than 105 billion to spend on measures E and I because with the aid of our bond managers and our staff, well, we have a couple $1 million worth of interest, and that's an interesting subject for debate. What do we spend that interest on? So that's subject still being discussed. Come back next year and we'll tell you where the interest got spent. Okay, let's go to the next page. We have a graph here showing the cumulative expenses, just under 79 million. Which means we have about 27 million to go. And I drive by Glorietta School, as I mentioned, frequently. And it did not matter what time. It could be 7 in the morning, it could be 7 at night. And last summer, Rodan was there. And why are they there? Because school ends and school starts. And it's, 2 months, 2.5 months? They have to hit the ground and be done with whatever they're doing before school starts again. And the only way they got it done is to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning or earlier. So certainly impressed with Rodan and all the other construction firms that have gotten our schools, into the 21st century for sure. Next page, please. Stop me if you have questions or comments along the way. The one number I was referring to, the bottom right, 106 million. And that's because of interest that's been earned through skillful management of the assets that we have. And we have some non-project specific work, a little 2.5 million. And as I said before, the Sleepy Hollow multi-purpose room, the HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning has been completed. The student services building has been completed. We're into modernization. And we expect modernization to be completed this summer. But the way things work, the CBOC gets a report from the auditors on measures E and I. They audit separately measures E and I. Apparently, state law, the education code says you can't have one bond issue in excess of 100 million. That's why we do bond issues. Okay, what else do I want to say? Let's go to the next page, please. And here, going across Sleepy Hollow was complete in August of 2024, the multi-purpose room, the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, all campuses completed in June of 2024. The student services building at OIS, and I recall the principal saying it was so wonderful that she can actually see what's going on with the new student services building, the way they organized it. And then modernization, scheduled to be completed this summer, which means I think it's realistic that Estes Pumani, we're going to see it 2 years from now. So we're excited about that. Now let's go to graphs. The next page. This is a test to whether you're colorblind or not. But what you have here showing the cost progression by school year, inception through June of 2022, around 10 million. The really big initiative for the 2022-2023 year, a little over 30 million. 23-24, a little over 15 million, and the year that we're reporting on, 24-25, 18 million. But I will say that the board and staff did make the changes they had to make. Case in point, we went away from Roveland to Swinnerton, and things, it wasn't totally seamless, but it's gone well. And also, I recall we changed bond counsel. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And
the financial.
yeah, right. And the CBOC had a wonderful presentation by bond counsel. Not that we understand or like the Brown Act, but we got to understand it a little better. The next page, please. Here we have, and again, testing for color blindness. Wagner, being the newest school, had the lowest expense of any of the schools, a little over 5 million. But the big ticket items, you've got the multi-purpose room at Sleepy Hollow, you've got the student services building at OIS, and then heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. The independent auditors report, Christie White, a San Diego-based firm. We've had some issues with them, but we've resolved them. And you have a link there if you want to look at their report in detail. But so you understand how we work, we have accountants, attorneys, doctors, bankers, businessmen, engineers, and even actuaries on the CBOC. And we try to park our egos at the door. We're not always successful, but we try very hard. And so we go through the auditor's report, and then we say, if we're taxpayers, what do we want to know? And so that's what you see in this report. And I'll just conclude by saying what the auditors do is they look at every single, Meeker, correct me if I'm wrong, they look at every single purchase order. They have the ability to look at every single purchase order. For the year in question, they looked at 54% of the purchases related to measure E and 52% of the purchases related to measure I. And to ask them what their random system is, that's a secret. That's a secret. So that's the way that works. But in conclusion, we can see the finish line. And if you read stories about other school districts in the Bay Area and across the country, it's not pretty. But everybody cooperated year in, year out, and we're just glad to be able to share with you on the 24-25 school year. And again, keep that Estes Spubani coming. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
Just really appreciate your report. Thank you so much.
I love your enthusiasm.
Yes.
This was the most entertaining of all.
Oh, I was just at last year, that's why I wanted to make up.
Thank you.
We actually have another, Michael, can you just wave? He's our number cruncher, I think, for the, so. Thank you.
Good, thank you. We have so many members of this committee here
Yes.
tonight. Again, this is another sort of thankless behind the scenes job, but it is really comforting and helpful to know that there are other eyes shepherding this project, all these projects through to completion. It's been years and years, and the schools are looking better and better, and improvements that are both visible and not visible. So thank you for that. That's a lot of work, and I really appreciate knowing the transparency and that people are really paying attention to it.
And the fact that you guys can work so well together for the last 8 years, I think it's quite remarkable, especially coming from such different backgrounds. So, I mean, you have entertainment right there in your mission. So that's help, yeah.
Any other comment? Is there any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Okay, so this is on for action.
This is Hillary. I move that the board approve the 2024-25 Citizens Bond Oversight Committee Annual Report.
This is Ed, I second. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, item F, approval and ratification of tentative agreement for 2025-26 between California School Employees Association, Orinda Chapter 320, and the Orinda Union School District.
Thank you, President Shogan. And what we have before you is our successful tentative agreement that we were able to come to between the district and CSEA Chapter 320. A number of tasks that we were able to accomplish together. Most notably, they includes a 2.75 salary increase, and then the benefit also increased. And we changed the benefit calculation methodology that will begin effective July 1st, 2026. That will affect about a third of the unit members within CSEA. So they were very appreciative of having that as part of our package this time. And also included is the CSEA, you have the successor, it's called a successor agreement, where every 3 years we have more than just 2 or 4 articles that are open. We can open a number of additional articles. That's why we have quite a few that we're able to move through this year. You also have the AB 1200 collective bargaining disclosure form as an attachment. The approval letter from the county office, which indicates that the district is indeed is able to afford this increase. And then the proposed CSEA or classified employee schedule, salary schedule for approval consideration. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. Thank you. It's great to have this come forward to us at this point. Any other board comments or questions?
No, just agree with your sentiments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Okay, great. So this is on for action.
This is Hillary. I move that the board approve and ratify the 2025-26 TA between CSEA, Orinda Chapter 320, and Orinda Union School District.
This is Benita, I second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, our next item, item G, is the OUSD Facilities Master Plan.
Yeah, so last board meeting, we had a comprehensive presentation for our 5 to 10 plan for facility master plan. We're going to continue improving our facilities. The board had a few comments, and we have Melissa from HKIT. I don't think am I projecting this?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Yeah, just go ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted to just share what we did change. So we did make a few minor changes, all because of comments that we heard from you all. We did add a plan for the nature area. So the portion that's still owned by the district, to kind of generally say, this is what we were going to improve. We haven't gotten into details. As a master plan is, it's more of a very conceptual plan. So that people could, as they're looking at it, if they're not familiar with the nature, they can see what that is. We also defined with Kevin and his staff the wireless access points and the network switches. And we actually added the word network because I understand switches was confusing, and we added wireless access points instead of just access, I think is what we had before. So we helped define that. We did have an error on our estimates where we noted each of them were priority ones, so we got rid of that, corrected that. And then we added a separate column for the nature area, so it's not tied to Wagner Ranch, the elementary school, and it's its own separate kind of property in a sense.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Questions or additional comments?
Yeah, thanks for making the additions and corrections. I think it's nice to at least have a placeholder for the Wagner Ranch area and have it separate from the school. Just keep that in our minds. Again, I think this is such a comprehensive document, but it's good to have in one place. And then as we identify funding, we can go from there.
And this plan will actually help us obtain some funding too. So, great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there any public comment?
There's no public comment.
This is on for action.
This is Hillary. I move that the board approve the OUSD facility master plan.
This is Benita, I second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Okay, and next is item H, declaration of need for fully qualified educators.
Great, thank you. This is an annual board presentation regarding our need for a declaration of fully qualified educators. When we don't have a teacher who's fully qualified for a particular position, we have to seek your approval to certify that indeed we have made concerted effort to hire credentialed teachers. And it allows us to move forward with candidates who are in the process of completing the credential. They may receive an emergency permit, a short-term staff permit, or an internship. And as included here, we're looking at 15 total limited assignment permits, multiple subject of 3 and single subject 9, special education 2 for a total of 15. And these are estimates. We may indeed, when we complete our hiring process, have individuals who have indeed completed their at least preliminary credential in their area of specialty. So we're seeking your approval for us to move forward with this process.
Thank you. I know we look at this every year, gives you some flexibility
Yes.
if needed. Any other questions or comments?
It's got like more than normal on there. Would you?
A few more. We had more specialized. This is an estimate. We're, as I've included in our updates to you, we're in really great shape with finding difficult to fill positions successfully in special education, in science, even a woodshop teacher for next year. This is phenomenal. And so these are estimates. We kind of high eyeballed it. And so we're in good shape. Yep.
Great. I appreciate your work on
Yes.
Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, if there are no further questions or comments, this is on for action.
So moved. I'll second. This is Hillary.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's leads us to our discussion items. The first one will be item A, LUSD 2026-27 school day schedule.
So Sarah and I will present this together and I'll start us off. But we are here to talk to you about our school day schedule and some potential changes. So during the presentation, the overview of it is that hopefully you'll understand why the district evaluated the current schedules, our review process used to develop those recommendations. We'll go through some legal and operational requirements that go into the schedule. And then we'll actually go into the details and review recommended elementary and OIS schedule changes, understand the implementation process, communication plans, and then consider the next step. So that's our road for this presentation. So why did we begin this work and why even start evaluating the school schedule? We actually started with the middle school schedule. That was the impetus of this. It was part of the LCAP action based on the community feedback from years ago. As you know, we're entering our third year of LCAP. We also, some of the finalists from the OIS have been that they're scheduled with the complexity of the order of periods and how they fall. There were some challenges when it comes to shared teachers across the district, shared with other districts. And then we're seeing some challenges in hiring part-time teachers. We also heard from our staff and students about the length of the day at OIS. specifically around that, yes, they have to start late, but that it's ending around 3:30, which is later than some other middle schools, and which makes it for a long day for our students. And then the final thing around the middle school schedule that was talked about is the academic period length. Is it really long enough to actually support the student learning and what's going on in intervention? And we wanted to evaluate is the placement of it that's currently in the schedule the best placement to support our students. In Orinda, whatever you do at the OIS, it affects the schedule at the elementary school, which we'll get into that quite a bit. But because we started looking at middle school, that led to us examining actually the elementary school schedules. One of the things that jumps out immediately around our elementary school schedule is that our grades 1 through 3 barely meet the minimum requirement of instructional minutes in those grades. And that is due to the early bird and late bird structure in 1st through 3rd grade. So we started looking at the minutes and we started looking at the value and effectiveness of early and late bird schedules in comparison to evidence, research, data. Impact of that early late schedule on families when you have siblings in different schedules and multiple drop-offs and pickups. We had to examine the alignment of elementary and OIS schedule because of the transportation needs, and we'll get into that a little more. And then we heard loud and clear from our staff that they value the collaboration time and wanted us to examine if there was a possibility of adding that collaboration time for their work. Our process, it's been a year-long committee, so we really started actually delving into this at the end of the last year, and then immediately started the school year, assembled our committee. The committee had representatives of certificated, classified, administrative staff from district and school sites. We had parents, and we had board members. We had Katie and Benita. We followed, just so all schools were represented by teachers. All schools were represented by parents, and then different grade levels as well, so that we can get early grades and late grades. So we feel like we had a large group and a really good representation on the committee. We followed the design process, design thinking process to really evaluate all the requirements, research, data, model schedules, survey input, and that was all done in that first circle, that empathy circle. So we actually spent most of our process time empathizing with our end users, our students, our parents, our teachers, our administrators, to really narrow down what the issue is, or why we're actually evaluating any potential changes to the schedule. And then we quickly moved through the other circles and ended with multiple prototypes. We actually ended up with, I think, 9 schedules that we evaluated. We sent that off, our final schedule, and then changed it again, and then once more. So there was a lot of changing and testing and figuring things out. So draft schedules were revised based on staff feedback as well. At the very end, when we, Sarah and I did a little roadshow, we went to every single school site. We met with teachers. They looked at the schedules and then gave us feedback, and then it was further revised. So in this process, should we implement a new schedule next year, it would really be in that test circle. It's not a final decision of anything. We can always adjust things if they're not working as we're implementing it. At some point after that empathy and looking at all the data, the committee actually came together with some guiding core values. We wanted to make sure that we're rooted in what we learned out there versus everybody bringing their individual agendas to the schedule. So these were our guiding values that led us through the work. We really wanted to make sure we're grounded in research and science of learning. Our priority was to maximize high quality instructional time and targeted support our social emotional well-being for students and staff. We wanted to protect time for our teacher collaboration, promote equitable access and practical implementation for families, and then advance equity in the student experience across our schools. So every test that we did, we wanted to make sure that we really ran it across these guidelines or these core values. Okay, so schedules are incredibly complex. When we came in to start actually prototyping, all sorts of people had different ideas of what we should do. But there's so many requirements, and then we have very unique things just here in Orinda. So first thing on the legal requirements, we need to make sure that we are making the annual instructional minute requirements. So the state actually has required instructional minutes by grade level, which I'll review on the next slide. They also have required student instructional days. And then they have some legalities and requirements around recess and lunch, depending on the grade level. So we must abide by those requirements, or we're actually fined by the state and when they audit us annually. We have also our own local contractual and operational requirements. We have employee contract obligations. There are a few aspects of the schedule that are negotiated with our unions, and we need to abide by our contracts. We have staff that is shared across school sites, so we want to make sure that's still working. And then one of the biggest constraints that's very unique to Orinda is transportation and buses. We rely on a lot, I think 12 routes around transportation, and whatever we do to a schedule, we needed to make sure that we don't lose any of those bus routes. Because, as you've all been on the streets of Orinda, any change in that, it just shuts down. So we need to make sure that everything worked together for our buses. So therefore, that start and end time alignment was also a big part of it. And then facilities and supervision considerations so that our principals can actually staff their schools and then supervise their spaces. This is the overview of the legal requirements for the schedule. In TK and K, all of them have 180 school days for our students. And then the annual minutes are just a little different. So in TK and K, there's 36,000 minutes. That daily minimum is there's a minimum that we should have on average. And then absolute minimum is that day does not count as a school day if it's below that absolute minimum. So like our minimum day cannot be less than that. But then when you take a 2-day or 10-day average, depending what grade level you're in, that's the daily minimum average. You can see the breaks. So for example, in TK and K, their recess actually counts as instructional minutes because that's part of what they're going to school for is learning and social development. Lunch does not. Recess and lunch does not count. In any other grades, passing periods in our middle school counts as long as they're under 10 minutes. We included the high school here just so that you can see kind of its the instructional minutes are really there to support the development of the child as they go from TK all the way to grade 12 and how much they spend, how much time they spent in the classroom. And here's some unique complexities just to us. It is really those first 4 bullets all have to do with transportation. We have very narrow roadways and traffic impacts. We needed to stagger our elementary schools and middle schools and look at that Mirmani High School because any change in the schedule just shuts down Orinda Way. We're heavily reliant on coordinated transportation via La Orinda bus. There's also county bus, but the La Orinda bus staggers and cares about our schedule. County is offered when it's offered. Elementary and middle school really are interdependent. So while we started with the OIS, and you may like some changes that we proposed at the OIS, we actually can't do their change of schedule unless we also do something at the elementary school. So that's just something to keep in mind that if we change one, we have to change the other. So especially with the end time and start time. We have shared staff between campuses, specialized programming and interventions. That's in elementary school. For example, our TK teachers actually provide intervention during their time when they're not teaching. So those are some things that we also looked at that are not offered in other school districts. And then we heard a lot from our families with regards to schedule and childcare. I think the description in one of our meetings is that our schedule follows the phases of the moon. I actually think that's every elementary schedule because there's so many start times, release times by different grade level. We do have a very unique positive, and that's BASC, that we offer it to all, and that's a big component of our schedules. Okay, as we went through stakeholder feedback and some research. I'll start is that when we send out the comprehensive survey, we really heard from the parents that there's a generally high satisfaction with our current bell schedule. But then when you started going into teasing out the information, there were some other aspects out of it, right? So for example, there was a desire for improved balance and wellness. We especially heard this out of our middle school parents whose kids were taking bus and coming home really late, not really having any time for family time, being structured in other curriculum activities or co-curriculars and so on. There was definitely what came up is a need for meaningful intervention and support. So with regards to our academy and so on, an interest in consistent and predictable schedules. And then on the research themes, we heard about importance of instructional quality over quantity. So Sarah took us through quite a bit of research, and yes, instructional minutes matter because we'll talk about minutes later on, but really what matters the most is what is being done with those minutes. Versus so quality over quantity of minutes. We've really discussed quite a bit of detriments of ability grouping and tracking, and this relates to the early bird, late bird. Depending on how you're grouping your students, if you're grouping them by ability, we looked through quite a bit of research, how detrimental that is to the students who are continuously tracked through those first few years. Benefits of structured intervention periods. There's research that supports that if you're going to have intervention, it needs to be embedded within the school day, not optional before or after school days. And then we talked about student attention, engagement consideration. What is the length of a day or different disruptions throughout the day? What does that do to student learning? And then finally, the importance of staff collaboration for instructional effectiveness. We have a lot of questions still, even though our Wednesday release times has been around 3 years now. What do you all do on this release time when our kids get released? I will say the number one feedback from our parents is usually we want equity across the classrooms. We want parity in the classrooms. We don't want educational lottery. That's what we do on Wednesdays. We make sure that we work in our teams, that we're aligning our curriculum, that they're developing their curriculum vertically and horizontally. So that time is critical for us. Okay, before I kick it to Sarah, I'll just say just a recommendation overview of just recommended changes that you'll hear details about. We are recommending a revised elementary schedule. We're also recommending revisions to the OIS schedule structure. There's some expansion of interventions and support opportunities at OIS. We feel like there's going to improved consistency and predictability of the schedule, with continuation of embedded staff collaboration structures, and then some adjustment in instructional blocks and transitions. So Sarah will take us through the elementary school.
Okay.
I'll just follow. Go for it.
Okay. So we'll first walk through an overview of the changes, grade level by grade level, and then we'll dig into what those changes look like. So first in the TK schedule, there are no changes to the current schedule, and that really has to do with some of these really valuable structures that we know work in our system already, which is the TK schedule, where we have our TK teachers acting as very valuable interventionists opposite their school day. Also, the number of minutes required in TK and the fact that we have an AM/PM model, which really puts some restrictions on where those blocks can fit in the school day. So that model will stay the same, or those times, start and end times will stay the same. In kindergarten as well, we will stay the same, except for a dismissal change to 2 p.m. to accommodate an alignment with the other, from 2 p.m. to 1:55 to accommodate an alignment with the late kinder schedule, as opposed to being a 5-minute difference. And then early and late would remain in kindergarten, and we'll talk about why that is in just a little bit. In first grade, early and late bird would also remain. So the 40-minute before, and late birds stay 40 minutes at the end of the school day. That would remain in the schedule, but the release time at the end of the day would change. And that would align with grades 2 and 3, where grades 2 and 3 end time at 2:35 would align with the late bird release time of grade 1 at 2:35.
Early and late would be removed from grades 2 and 3. And all students go to school from 8 to 2:35. Lunch recess would be 40 minutes. Snack recess would be 20 minutes. And this would increase instructional minutes while the length of the day is actually decreased. Moving up to grades 4 and 5, the regular day is going to look like grades 2 and 3, an arrival at 8 o'clock, a dismissal at 2:35. Again, lunch recess and snack recess the same. Here, the instructional day is shortened for all students to have alignment with grades 2 and 3, and that is what allows for that OIS earlier release as well. Okay, so let's talk about that early and late change. So maintaining it in kindergarten and first grade, but moving away from it in second and third grade. And so first, just as a little intro here, early and late bird schedules have been traditionally implemented in many districts. I'd say since probably, many decades ago, actually. It's a pretty old practice in order to provide literacy instruction. But as happens with many practices that started many, many years ago, in Orinda, that practice has shifted depending on the grade level, the teacher, or the team. That team may use that early late time differently, depending on what they want to use it for. Only one of those blocks of time counts for our instructional minutes, which is why our minutes are tight, but the day is long. All right, so what does educational research say about this early late? One of the things we have to be super conscientious about is the idea of fixed ability tracking. That is one of our major concerns when we go around and learn about how teachers may or may not be using early late. Because whenever you have fixed ability grouping for core instruction, that leads to compound losses in rigor over time for that low group. So if you were a student in the low group in kindergarten and you maintained that low group through third grade, and that's how you were receiving and your core instruction, for example, your teacher was a teacher who decided that is how I'm going to deliver my phonics or my literacy instruction is during that time. That means that naturally there are a bunch of factors that affect that. One is just the standard can go down. Educational research shows this. It's why one of the reasons schools many years ago actually went away from tracking, especially in secondary, because of the fact that when you had those honors classes, if you can remember, and the at-level classes, you knew that honors classes, kids in those classes have the benefit and they excel, and that's great. But who loses in that situation are the kids who are in the lower group. They don't have the benefit of the higher rigor that teachers teach to when the higher students are around them. They don't have the benefit of interacting with students who are also high around them. And so when students are grouped by that ability for their core instruction, and then that group is fixed for the entire year, which unfortunately is the nature of an early late bird schedule, because of the fact that it's not easy to change a student's start and end time with a family who's organized a BASC or before and drop-ups schedule, all their family schedules around that. That is something we have to be very concerned about. And so that's one of the key reasons we want to move away from early late in grades 2 and 3. In addition to the fact that small group instruction is much more feasible in a grade 2 and 3 classroom where students are more independent. The wide range in abilities that exist in, say, a kindergarten or a first grade classroom is not quite as wide in a second or third grade classroom. And it's actually quite rare to have early late for that old of a child. Because those kids are just more independent, they can operate in their own independent small group if the teacher was working with another small group. As I talk about all this small group and fixability tracking and how we have to be conscientious of it, I want to distinguish that with another concept though, which is homogeneous groups for intervention purposes, because flexible homogeneous groups when you're intervening is actually a really great practice. You're intervening around a particular skill, so you're going to group kids around a like skill at a like ability. but that's not fixed. And that's not happening in an early bird, late bird fixed schedule. And that's the difference between something like a WIN intervention or even a small group differentiated intervention that a teacher might be implementing versus early late. But then when you get down into kindergarten and first grade, you see that students do lack more independence, especially at the beginning of the year, where they are coming in and they're not able to function maybe independently while the teacher is working with a small group. It does make a big difference for a teacher to be able to have half the class not there while they work with the other half. And then they can have maybe smaller groups within that. And it's more manageable for them. In addition, those students are going to have much more wider ranges of abilities in early kinder and early first compared to second and third grade, where reading abilities and just literacy abilities are just much more widely varied, younger versus older. So that's the reason why we want to move towards maintaining in kinder and first, while at the same time, we actually recognize this process has been very valuable in talking to teachers and getting all their input. Our teachers, really amazing teachers in kindergarten, first and second and third grade, who are giving us input about what they do, how they use it. And we realized we really need to define some parameters. If it moves away in second and third, we do find reason based on the valuable input of our teachers and how some of them are using really great practices. How do we amplify those practices, define what they are, and then train and provide all teachers with access to those practices moving forward? So that would be a growing area for us to go to that we can talk about too. I can come back to at the end when we talk about maintaining it in kinder and first grade moving forward. So that's a little bit about early late. Shall I jump into assessment calendar? Okay, so the other piece that we had gotten feedback around is a desire to shift from these 3 weeks at the beginning of the school day, 3 weeks at the beginning of the school year, where we have early release for assessment, and take those 12 days, it actually ends up being 12 assessment day schedule days, and take 4 of them and move them to later in the school year, where teachers actually still have to give assessments later in the school year as well. And could that be actually more beneficial for them to have a shorter, truncated time at the beginning of the year and move some of those days to later in the year to provide them an opportunity to have more time then, time that they don't have now built into the schedule through assessment days mid-year and end of year. And so the new schedule does do that. This is something that seems more manageable now because we've switched away from the F&P reading assessment to our new Dibbles reading center. F&P, which would in years past take a teacher anywhere from maybe as few as 15 minutes in the upper grades, but in the lower grades, really anywhere from, I'd say, probably 20 to 40 minutes per student, to now a screener that probably is more realistically, they're 1 minute measures, but realistically probably 7 minutes to 15 minutes. So much more truncated than it had been in the past with FMP. So with that reduction in time on the actual assessment, we think it's actually more feasible and helpful if we can move some of the assessment days to later in the year to spread them out. This is something that we will want to work on collaboratively and negotiate with our OEA partners, because it is something that is written into our CBA. Okay, so let's just look at the schedule in detail. I don't know how well you guys can see it up there. Probably it's most pertinent to view here is because TK and kindergarten are going to look almost exactly the same, other than that little 5-minute switch at the end of the kindergarten day. If you look at just grade 1, you'll see the early and late start, which is 8 and 8:40, and then dismissal at 1:55 for early, and then 2:35 for the late group. And then the assessment day schedule, I'll just point out on the very far right, as a dismissal at 1:45 p.m. versus currently that first grade assessment day schedule releases at 2 p.m. So that's an additional 15 minutes on those assessment days. Okay, let's jump into 2 and 3 when we're ready. And it can be, yeah, okay, perfect. All right. It can just be a lot to take in all the numbers and the nerds, so I want to give people time to acclimate to all the titles and all the things on the chart. Okay, so if we look at grades 2 and 3 here, you'll see again, school begins at 8 on the regular schedule. I'll just start on the left-hand column right here. So regular schedule, 8 a.m. and then dismissal at 2:35. Wednesday and minimum conference days are going to stay the same. And that's the same for grade 1 as well. And then assessment day is going to move to a release at 1:45 versus this year, which is 2 p.m. And then in grades 4 and 5, you'll see the 8 to 2:35 dismissal and assessment day dismissal at 2 p.m., which is the current assessment day dismissal time. The Wednesday minimum day stay the same in the minimum. I think that's it. I don't know, do we want to pause for questions or?
Just a question, just what's the reason for the 15-minute later dismissal time for the assessment days for the 4th and 5th
The
grade?
length of the assessments,
Just the length.
taking more time in the early grades, different type of.
Okay. I mean, I understand only impacts a certain number of days for the school year, but is there a plan for that 15-minute for families that have kids?
They would be allowed to stay on campus
Okay.
if they wanted, or bask, or just stay in the blacktops supervised, yeah.
I would think that the schedules are so connected that it would be helpful to go through middle school first before. Is that okay with you guys?
Okay, so I'll review the middle school. So just a big picture overview of changes is that the class periods were shortened just a little bit to allow for a longer academy and earlier dismissal. Dismissal time on all days except for Wednesday is 15 minutes earlier, so it's 3:15 instead of current 3:30. And then KOIS and announcements is offered later in the day. And then you'll see that one of them is scheduled to traditional KOIS, the other ones are doing as announcements. Part of why that was done is what we noted while visiting OIS and actually from the feedback, especially from staff, and you really just can feel it by hanging out over there. There are tremendous amounts of announcements at OIS, particularly all day long. And partially is KOIS is recorded the week before, so it doesn't actually include those in the moment announcements. So if you're spending your time at the end of the day at OIS, you're probably having your period interrupted 3-4 times with our early releases for sports, just like here's what's happening at lunch tomorrow and so on. Highly disruptive. So we put these announcements as hey, here's when you put those announcements, don't interrupt the school days. And then also on the 2 days that they're not offered is the academy days, and they could be done in the first minute of academy. So just sort of as a non-schedule related, but an outcome that
I would just add on to that, sorry, Aida, like not schedule related, but also in critical, well, a great example of how quality over quantity matters when it comes to minutes, because the quality of those minutes of the continual disruption and the time on task, off task as you transition kids in and out of an announcement is not going to be worth the value of the longer instructional day. So restructuring the day to have a designated time for announcements and having a policy of no more announcements disrupting the actual instructional period could be a great win for instructional minutes and overall quality.
Order of instructional periods, actually we're recommending no changes be made at the time, even though that's really the reason we started examining. I'll say the reason we're not recommending the changes is the number one thing in the core values, and when we're getting input repeatedly, was the need for middle school staff to see their students 4 times a week. Any other way, we would have gone to either block schedule, or you can't see your kids 4 times a week, and not somehow snake the schedule. So there were proposals around AM, PM, as they call it, snakes, or kind of making Monday and Friday the same, but they actually didn't result in that much improvement for what we were looking at, meaning shared teachers or part-time teachers. But I'll come back to that in just a minute. The calendar change, just in response to the additional collaboration and calibration, we're proposing 2 minimum days at the end of the quarters. And then student support academy periods were increased from 30 to 40 minutes and offered later in the day. We repeatedly heard from staff and students that 30-minute block is just not long enough to do really meaningful intervention. So it becomes then de facto homework time or just a quick catch up. And then our students said, well, but it's first thing in the morning, basically after the first period. So you really don't have homework yet. And you're not leaving homework from the day before because you don't know if you're going to have enough time or what's going to happen. So that's actually coming directly from the students to move it towards the end of the day. Now, they asked for it to be at the end of the day so they could leave. But going back to research, that is not a sound practice. So we just moved it towards the end. So this is the schedule. It's not how it would be printed for our staff, but we just wanted to go through the order. So you can see that order of 1 through 7, all periods on Monday, and then our students go into the 1 through 5, and then they just kind of roll through until the end of Thursday. The Friday, we initially proposed actually 1 through 7, but that made the 7th period 3 times a week at the end of the day. And because we didn't get much value when it comes to sharing teachers, when we plugged in our part-time teachers, we left it as is with an understanding, should we have like a 0.4 teacher or a 0.5 teacher that we can plug in differently, then we would flip that Friday to be to 1 through 7. Academy, the academy is on Tuesday, Thursday, same days as now. It's moved towards the end of the day and expanded to 40 minutes. The lunch and brunch are aligned to be around the same time. And then there's the KOIS, which is our traditional KOIS, and then announcements or KOIS on Monday, Friday, with an intent that is the announcement time. The collaboration stays on a Wednesday release day. So all of the days are ending at 3:15, which actually should match up better with the Miramani's release time on those days when they ended at 3:30. I think there's 2 days, right? Yeah, thank you. So that could help out actually with our stagger at that area of town. Okay, so with regards to instructional minutes, here's the charts of how our minutes are changing or where we are well, we're not under minutes, but where we're really tight. So you can see in TK and K, there's no changes between the current and proposed schedule. We are well over our mandated instructional minutes when it comes to kindergarten, because kinder is in many districts a half day, just like TK schedule. We are on that modify extended day. TK minutes are also over, but a little bit of a less than the kinder 10,000 minutes over. Grades 1 through 3 is where there's a really significant change. So currently our grade 1 through 3 we have wiggle room of 680 minutes. So with those adjustments, really, there's a little bit of a change in grade 1, pretty much stays the same, which is like no minutes to give because of that early bird, late bird. And then grades 2 and 3 gain 4,000 minutes of instructional time. So that's to that comment that Sarah said, it's more instructional minutes in a shorter day. There is a change on the other side in grades 4 to 5. For us to not have a stagger, which is actually the first draft that we send out to staff and ran it by some of our community members, is to have grades 4 and 5 stay a little longer. And that is not well received by anyone, really. Like, how do I pick up my kid? What's going on? What happens with our staggered end dates? So we sort of slice the difference in between. So the grades 4 and 5 would, they're currently just over 3,000 minutes, and they would just be under 2,000 minutes, still over their requirements of instructional time. And then for the middle school, we are currently just under 5,500 minutes over, and then we would be meeting the requirement with almost 3,000 minutes still over the instructional requirements. So with that, all grades remain compliant with that first grade being very tight, but they are legally required instructional minutes, compliance across all grade levels. Again, to what we've tried to reiterate, it's always nervous when we're either adding minutes or subtracting minutes. What does that do to the instruction? We went through that same process 3 years ago when we took down the minutes, instructional minutes, because of the early Wednesday release. And there was a big fear of what will happen, right? Will our test scores get affected? Will our instruction? And it didn't. And so we don't see the schedule adjustments. The same thing happened at the high school or the districts up and down the corridor, that they're affecting student achievement, academic achievement, because again, to Sarah's point, it is about what is being done in those minutes and how those minutes are being utilized versus how many minutes are in a day. We feel that the revised schedule prioritizes that high quality instructional blocks, reduces that fragmentation around different start times and end times, and eliminates ability tracking in that second and third grade. We feel like we're following that student attention, engagement, and stamina, which were important consideration. We feel that the schedule is supported by research. It balances instructional time with developmentally appropriate schedules that support our student wellness, focus, and readiness to learn. How would we go about implementing? Sarah, you want to talk about staff support?
Yeah, so I think beginning of the year support for staff is going to be important, especially for second and third grade teachers who have traditionally taught in this early late format, a particular way, using, a particular curriculum or subject area, whatever they've normally delivered during that time is going to need to look a little different. So we're going to need to definitely get their input and consult with them on one, what type of support do you need? How have you been using it? And then support them in strategies, probably in, well, this is how your small grouping could look different. This is how you might want to consider delivering that particular content or subject area differently, given your now longer block of time. The good thing is we have second and third grade teachers who are really comfortable already with a non-early bird, late bird schedule. We'd be learning on our collective expertise from our teachers already in order to lead a lot of this training needed. And then we'd also need to schedule implementation guidance, support them with collaboration and planning time. That is so critical that is maintains its weekly cadence and the support for staff around that. We value we value that so highly in our PLC culture. We need to develop those district-wide best practices related to that early late schedule that I talked about earlier, define what those are and be sure teachers feel supported and confident in what that looks like with the resources and tools that they need to feel effective at that. And then we need to definitely be monitoring, assessing, gathering feedback to adjust as we move forward. And that can just really a continuous cycle of improvement and learning as we continually try to do the best for our students and our community.
On the operational side, we're working with Orinda buses, so with Whitney, with regards to transportation. She's already seen and evaluated the schedule in detail. I shared with the board a little bit of their feedback. They feel just fine with regards to the ending times stagger. It's the, she expressed a little bit of concern around late bird release and the end time doable. Fine, but should there be something on a road in Orinda, there could be a delay. We've talked about that actually with our principals, and they felt okay with that. They said the kids are rushing right now to get on the bus, and that would give them time to line up. Should this schedule, should we move forward with it? We need to work with our childcare BASC program coordination, so they keep us sat on our committee the entire time, and has been part of this process. So we want to make sure that we adjust our BASC programs and make sure that that's coordinated well with our schedule. We do think that if we implement this schedule, that there we would be probably seeing a drop in enrollment in Basque because there are fewer schedules that are staggered or fewer release times, which they're highly impacted in Basque. So we can absolutely take that. We'll have any communication updates, technology, and then need to make sure that any staff that's shared, there's an alignment. And then our student and family transition, clearly we have to develop all the visuals around the new schedules to make sure that all those numbers are nicely handled, that especially the OIS schedule, parent communication and information, we would communicate that this is moving forward. If there's changes soon, by the end of the year, in our next communication, but really hit the communication information during the summer communications and on around just the changes that are anticipated. We'll develop frequently asked questions around all of the aspects that we talked about tonight, so that there's a nice spot on our website where parents, community members can go to, make sure that all the back to school materials are updated and then website resources. So that brings us to recommendations. So, and next steps. So next steps, clearly there's a board review and discussion, any kind of refinement or operational planning that we need to do out of potential changes and discussion. Sarah mentioned working collaboratively with our employee groups. I mean, we need to work with and have already started working with our OEA, especially around the contract, and making sure that that's successfully done. And then we have lots of things over the summer that we would go through implementation for the 26-27 rollout. And as Sarah mentioned, ongoing monitoring evaluation. One thing that, this year we rolled out a new grading policy. We had a grading committee. We met on regular basis, continuously updating what we were rolled out, and then we'll revise our policy for next year. So that's kind of how we see that model process happening as well. Okay, so that's the schedule. I just want to say thank you to all the committee members. We have one here, Sean. And there was a lot of staff members that were involved, and also I think almost all of them came in to our input sessions recently. I think the families that were part of it, students were phenomenal in their feedback, as they always are, and our parents, our leadership teams. Do you have any questions?
Okay, yes, let's open it up for discussion.
Lots of questions. I want to start with the metrics. Like, what specifically metric will you track? And then how often will I guess when would be the first formal progress report as you implement everything and polish it up and figure out what works and what doesn't?
I can start with operational while you think about maybe on the academic. The operational piece, I mean, we will see things. I mean, the beginning is an assessment schedule. So it's first couple of weeks of every school year is very messy. So I would say just right away within the month of September, we will know even operationally how our transportation is working. Does anything need to be adjusted there? What is happening with the supervision on our campuses of our students, and then our Basque enrollment? So those are the data points that we will know before we have any academic data points to come back, because those take a little longer to see the impact, right? So we anticipate, I think we were discussing meeting like in September. So first couple weeks, month of the rollout, couple weeks of assessment schedule, couple weeks of the regular, to just even immediately start reviewing what does it feel like and look like on the operational side. And then academically, I mean, so we'll go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's two ways that will be important for us to gather data. One is that very valuable qualitative data that will come from our teachers, right? We have valuable through our grade level facilitators, our curriculum councils that we do already meet with regularly. I think we already planned on a certain number of check-ins for next year to be sure we're getting
cite input from teachers. How's it going? Where might we need to adjust? Where might we need to provide more support? And then we have a great assessment system already in place. Orinda's assessment system is very impressive. So we have academic measures in both reading and math 3 times a year, in addition to CAS, but those measures will be very valuable and helpful to us over, I think it will take us probably more than a year to glean a really good understanding, but at least we have those measures that are consistent, that we're familiar with, that can tell us, yeah, we're continuing with the great progress that we're known for in Orinda.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then just one other question in terms of, you mentioned the bus schedule. Do we know preliminary costs, like in terms of the change
There's no
or any
change.
modeling? Okay,
There's no change in the cost with regards to transportation.
great.
There is, we're thinking on the Basque side. Right now, there's actually one of the big pieces that came out as we were studying, is early bird, late bird is a cost to our families. And it's a different cost if you have siblings in different schedules. So we actually, that was a big component of looking at that while we were leaning on what's a sound instructional practice, what does the research say? That was a big thing that spoke to many, is that depending on where my child is placed in early bird, late bird, that is a different cost to me as a family because of childcare issues. So we're hoping that that actually eliminates quite a bit of that for many of our families. Also, the various, I mean, I think we had 8 release times throughout that this will actually really narrow it down.
Great. That's it. Thank you.
Other questions?
I guess just one of my questions relates primarily to messaging to families around this, so that it doesn't just appear that we are shortening the day, and that there's a lot more to this than just, an earlier release time. So kind of what's planned as far as communication around that?
Yeah, I think that's why sort of looking back at my resources, being part of, these sort of implementations in other districts, I think the frequently asked questions are a really big part of it. So, looking through very clear, why did early bird, late bird stay in kinder and first, and really explaining that? Why is it being removed? And then anticipating the questions that we got and ironed through out in our committees. So that we'll have to rely on that. And then website resources. We could have forums at the start of the year. I mean, this is a big messaging around back to school night. I just think that if there's any questions, they're going to come up well before. So we could, even open up office hours. We've done that before. Work with our parent leaders. John is our current parent leader of like, what is that messaging that can go out to support at PC meetings at the beginning, all of that. But before all of the parents are back from the summer and really get engaged, I think the website resources, the written communications, the FAQs, the narrated slides, we can screencast the slides and putting them on different aspects on our website.
Are you intending to push this out in your Friday communication this week as
Well,
well?
I usually do that.
Yeah.
So yes, this was a plan that the board discussed,
Right.
and here's our direction.
Okay.
Follow up with all the other resources.
I think, with Katie and I being on the committee, it was great to see this whole process. And I think it just helped me understand, because I went into the committee feeling one way about the schedule. And then after all the research was presented and the discussions and the committee work, I think this makes sense. And I know students are very excited at OIS. But I mean, and just the fact that Academy is going to be 40 minutes now, they feel that they can actually get something out of it. And so, and being released 15 minutes earlier, I think will be great for them, for their well-being, as well as for families in general. I am interested to see for the 2nd and 3rd graders who are now adding 4,000 minutes, how that will impact them in terms of their learning and all that. And then grade 1 is losing about 300 minutes, but as Sarah said, it's not necessarily the instructional time, but the quality. So hopefully we won't see too much of an impact there.
Is there a planned evaluation of the first grade early late? I mean, are we long-term, are we only eliminating 2, 3, or is that the only?
We have actually a strong contingency of teachers, especially, this was heavily debated, the first grade. And actually our first draft that went out to staff did not have it in first grade. And then going back and forth with Sarah and the teachers in first grade around the importance of small group instruction, say it right, and such a just, wide range of readers and lack of independence. We stayed with this schedule. Committed to those that were pushing the other way, that let's look at how this is working in second and third grade to evaluate it next year for first grade, because there was on the other side a group of staff members that really had looked forward to removing it in all. So yes, our commitment was to see how this is going in second and third, and then potentially, determine what's going on with it in the long run. And I will say other districts have gone that way too. Some have remained in first grade, some have removed it after second and third has left. So it's the first grade is half and half out there. Yeah. And I'll just say on that note, sorry, just to your comment around how does it feel now, 2:35 for all of our students, 8 to 35 in first or second and third, and then fourth and 5. I mean, that's usually around 2:30 is what we found the most common dismissal time. So it's working out there. And then this also aligns our middle school release time with other middle schools too, having found that OIS was there longer than others.
So Safeway and Starbucks will be very.
Yes. Support the local environment. I support the local business. Yeah.
I think one of the challenges, especially at the middle school, is the bus challenge, which is when kids aren't getting out till 3:30, some of them are not getting home until, is it 4:05?
Yeah,
5 o'clock. And if you got on that bus at, let's say, 8 o'clock, or you were at least walking to the bus stop around that time, that is a very long day for a 12, 13-year-old. And then you come home and you've got more work to do probably, and also a family you might want to connect with, or other, right? May or may not want to connect depending on your persuasion that day, as you know, if you have middle schoolers at home. But all the other extracurriculars that we know make kids very well-rounded. So we're hoping that maybe this does bring some more balance to those students' lives. That 15-minute change can potentially do that.
This was a really comprehensive presentation, so I don't have too much to add back while we have the opportunity. I was on the committee, so sat through the process, which I think was really well done. It included a lot of stakeholders, a lot of voices. And so I know what we're seeing here was many iterations and many meetings of work. I think I'll just highlight, again, this is on for discussion, not action. So my 2 cents around really the highlights of what's being recommended is the assessment days at the beginning of the school year for elementary schools. I think assigning some of them is going to be a better way to start the year, and also better for teachers later on in the year and for parents and students to get a sense of where they are. I think, like Benita, I came into the committee with some feelings about the schedule, and early bird, late bird in particular. And I think the research that you presented was really helpful in kind of guiding why that's not necessarily the best practice. So I think for second and third grade, I think this is going to be a really positive change. I'm not worried about them being in school longer. I think by second and third grade, they can definitely be ready for some more independence and a longer day. And then first grade, I taught first grade, so I'm really on the fence about that. So I think the trial is good, or at least kind of assessing and seeing how that's working out, how that time's being used. It can be a test run. I think my main concern that I've shared to Aida separately a little bit is around shortening the day. I totally understand the middle school thing and 15 minutes for both middle school and a little bit at the elementary level as well. But quality is definitely more important than quantity. However, that's quite a bit of minutes if you add them up over the course of the day. And I definitely think middle schoolers have a lot to do in the afternoons and getting home late. And so I understand what's being proposed. I just really want to make sure that in this rollout, in the monitoring, this quality over quantity is really emphasized both in the FAQs and what's communicated to parents, but also in how staff and students and schools handle that kind of shift. That time at school is really valued. I like that KOIS is going to be at a specific time so that there's less disruptions. I think eliminating early late bird at grades 2 and 3 actually eliminates transitions that probably, add up in terms of lost quality. But that is just kind of the back of my head. I want to make sure that it was really, truly part of this change. It could also be from the East Coast where school's just generally longer in the day. So I would just say, as we're testing the model and you're seeing how it's going, I would love some updates on how that time's being.
No, I appreciate
quality of
that.
instructions.
And I think the commitment, we should make the commitment of, coming back immediately in the fall to do what the rollout is looking like, and then probably end of the year check-in as well, but then also regular updates. And we'll have clearly a small subcommittee working through this and evaluating it as the year goes on. If we can do those, how often should we be meeting?
So I appreciate the evaluation, but I think if we take the minutes away, we're going to be able to bring them back. So I think we really need to know and be confident in this decision.
I'm just as nervous. I think what's hard anytime we were presenting educational research is that we do many changes at the same time. We're rolling out a new curriculum. We're supporting new curriculum. We're also changing potentially minutes. Here we're adding minutes. Here we're taking away. And we have different cohorts of kids coming through. So it's really hard to say, let's say our test scores go up. Is it thanks to the schedule or a different curriculum? Our test scores go down. Is it different curriculum or a different schedule? So I think it's just really hard. So we have to develop how do we evaluate the success of this? Right. And I think it has to be just multi-pronged with, quantitative data, with input from students, input from families, input from staff, to move forward to make it successful.
I agree with that.
Yeah. But this is a really big decision. So yeah, there's nervousness, I think, on all of our parts.
Yeah, for me, I trust in the process. I was not part of this committee, but just knowing how these committees work and the level of participation it sounds like you have and the level of feedback, it sounds like this is the best schedule to be presented to us.
As someone who has an early bird right now, it'll be interesting to see how the school and other families adapt to it, but I think it'll be exciting. Of course, there'll be some pivots and little things as you adjust, but I'm excited about it.
So this will come back the 1st June or the 2nd?
It's not actually.
Yeah.
I know, because really what reaction has to happen is as we negotiate through parts of the contract, and also scheduling has actually been changed out there. So it's not a big component, but we would not move forward as a staff without a consensus. So we were looking for your feedback, recommendations on any potential changes. Staff would not feel comfortable moving forward with the change if the board was not in agreement. So.
Yeah, I think my last bit of feedback is that I really do want this to come back to the board, but also updates. Again, being on the committee, we left it as like a testing, that there, some focus on it next year, to kind of monitor how all the components are going.
We can determine them
When that
in the
comes
fall,
back,
yes, absolutely.
Okay, anything further? Is there any public comments? No public comment. Okay, so this was for discussion.
Thank you so much for all the feedback and for your support and trusting us. Yeah, it's on us to make it work.
No pressure. Yes, no pressure. Are we good to continue or no? Recess?
No.
Everybody good? Okay, all right. Moving on to our next item, which is the OPEB guidelines and investment report. Mika?
Yes, thank you. This is a quarterly report for the trust account that we have for post-retirement benefit. Third quarter of the fiscal year, we earned about 1,600 in investment. Overall, we earned 142,000 in this fiscal year. Right now, the balance is a little over 2 million. Any questions?
Just thank you for continuing to bring this forward. It's something we need to keep an eye on.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mika. Any public comment?
No public comment.
And this was just on for discussion, so no. Yes. Okay, next up also Mika, Legal Services, quarterly update, please.
Yes, at the end of March 31st, we show the balance or the usage. The top one shows the current year, middle one shows the last year, and the bottom chart shows the historical total amount. General legal cost is reaching about the same amount from last year, the annual amount. Special ed amount about doubled. Personnel doubled as well, and the facility is just following. And the total is almost 200,000 this year. No, I'm sorry, 300,000 this year. Last year's annual total was a little short of 200,000.
So one thing, I think I mentioned this at the last board meeting, this general legal also includes our nature area sale. So that is funded by the nature area grant. And then, so that's,
Do you know about how much
almost
that
70. So that's significant. And then the special education is part of just a couple of cases. And then the legal on the HR that was mentioned by Mika also includes BASC. So that will be funded by BASC.
This also includes some of the public records requests we've.
It does include public records are under general records, and they were significant as well. I will note that we handle most public records ourselves.
Right.
But there are some that require legal.
So we're keeping an eye on it. Obviously, this is higher than it's been. But I know the diligence that's going into it, so just continue to monitor it and do the best we can to keep them as low as possible.
Yes.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, any public comment? All right, for discussion. So we will move on to Measure E&I implementation, first with our Measure E&I quarterly update.
Thank you. Andrew, I overestimated my time, sorry.
No worries.
Okay.
So another quarter is upon us. I'm sure we know the measures quite well at this point. We can jump past these completed projects and into the current, go back one more.
This one?
Right there, yep. So the district-wide network upgrades is in closeout. The Delray modernization actually is currently closed out as of right now, but this is technically an update as of March. Gloria modernization is in closeout as well. We've completed the last several items. We'll go into detail in a bit. OIS and Sleepy Hollow, the last half of OIS, Sleepy Hollow and Wagner Branch is scheduled for this summer. And then the 30s wing is in progress as that started over spring break. So moving into the overall program schedule, we'll make some adjustments to the schedule as we roll into this summer's work. A couple of items that will be adjusted are the closeout for Gloria and Delray, as the additional paint had to be pushed in the summer. Every time we schedule it, it rains. I'm hoping there's no rain in June, but that should not be the case. But the weather has been wacky, so who knows? But yes, all of the painting is now scheduled for July at this point, due to summer school being held at Delray.
So on to the budget. So for Measure E, the student services and multi-purpose room at OAS Sleepy Hollow, the remaining encumbrance should roll back into the fund, into the bond, as any POs associated with those items should be closing out at this point. There should not be anything billed. Everybody, all of the invoices have been closed out with all the contractors. For the modernization, as we continue on with the windows, we'll continue to roll back encumbrance. And as Mika just went through the district-wide expenses for the bond. And then into Measure I, same here. The mechanical and electrical projects should be closed out. That last 500 that was encumbered was the reopening fee for DSA. So that should be over and done with and closed out by the next round. But the network upgrades, as we said, those are closed out or in closeout. That encumbrance amount is the retention for the contractor, which is in process of being paid out. And then again, for the modernization, we'll spend down the remaining encumbrance along with the district-wide expenses for the bond. So for the overall budget summary, we have our remaining balances, which is about 2.8 million. Do note that that balance is again, a calculation of the expenditure and the encumbrance taken away from the budget, not the actual total available funds. So the projected available balance based on the complete, the total available funding from the interest accrued is roughly 4 million at this point. So it is increasing, but that will go down again as this does not reflect the change order that was approved at the last board meeting for the 30 swing. So that will drop by about 1.5. However, it will also increase by any interest accrued. So there will be some adjustment in the next quarterly update. So into the projects, as we said, the network upgrades, we've run through the warranty period and have closed out, and we're addressing the last few open items and getting that wrapped up. Retention is going out to the contractors. So this did come in under the $3 million budget. So there were no additional change orders beyond what the initial one was last year. So this one did come in under budget. For the modernization, we are currently roughly halfway through with the work coming up this summer. So as I said before, Del Rey and Orinda are both getting their paint fixed over this summer. And then there is some additional paving coming along with that as well. So we're currently negotiating the cost and the sequencing of that work with the paving subcontractor. That's just a matter of balancing what's easiest and most accessible for them and what would take too long for them to come in and do. One example would be Glorietta, the areas of asphalt in between the classroom buildings. They're not easily accessible by any equipment, and we would have to find a place to remove and store all of the furniture and then place it back. And that presents an issue as most of that would have to be done by hand since the equipment doesn't actually fit in between buildings. What they're using right now is those big 8-foot wide pavers that you'll see kind of paving road. It makes it more cost effective for them to pave large swaths of blacktop as opposed to small little chunks by hand, which is the reason why those were never factored into the additional paving. So that could be a future project factored in later, but currently we are not looking at those areas. It's mostly the large open blacktop areas that are cracking in both campuses. For Orinda and Wagner and Sleepy Hollow, we continue to coordinate with contractor and knock out any open questions. We're going to continue to do a few walks with the principals and the staff to kind of address any last minute concerns, make sure that everybody is aware as to what's happening in everybody's rooms and what's being touched and what's not. So we'll continue those meetings with the staff as needed and as requested. And then any additional work, we'll try to work in the schedule as possible. As expected, there's a lot of asks from the staff for if they can add a few things here and there, but it's really more, it's not so much a matter of cost as the items they're requesting are small, it's a matter of time. The ability to, the smaller the item, actually, the more time it ends up taking because they have to kind of pull away from the large scope to do something smaller or address something that may kind of cause a cascade effect of sorts when dealing with the small ads like you'd be surprised how hard it is to add an outlet somewhere. So, but one thing we did manage to get in is in the 30s wing, we do have the hand washing station. So we'll have a couple of sinks added in there as well for good measure. And then should we need to, we'll also work with the district with any furniture procurement and installation throughout that as well. So everything's moving along. Nothing, any speed bumps we've hit, we've managed to kind of smooth out before the work starts, luckily. So everything is looking on track and on schedule, and we don't seem to be having any major issues. But we're starting in 3 weeks. So, any questions on any of the individual campuses, any of the past projects? Okay.
It's exciting to see that the budget's coming under in so many of the.
Pretty much on every single project, we've managed to come in under, and that has been left a lot of room. The one hiccup was Glorieta and having to fold in all of those legacy projects.
Yes.
That did kind of, take the fun out of that one. We finished it. It's getting closed out. DSA is reviewing it, and we are hopefully in the clear. But it all is looking well there.
Thank you for your work on that.
Can you remind me again when, so I know there's a little bit of money left over, when we would finalize what to do with that, those leftover funds? We have a new master's
Yes.
plan.
So there's the remaining funds based on the projected budget. The projected budget contains within it a soft cost contingency that's kind of earmarked by the district, just in case there's any overages for things like hazmat or added architectural fees, which we'll talk about in a second on the next items. But and then any additional fees by DSA that may come due to extended costs or anything like that. Any money beyond that has not been incorporated into the budget, and we do not foresee it needing to be incorporated into the budget. So you do have an amount that you can relatively, with a good amount of confidence, count on for future projects. The amount beyond that, the difference between our projected budget and the total available funding with accrued interest, is absolutely yours to assign to projects as you wish. The difference between the actual cost and a projected budget, it would be hard to say. We're not really going to know until more than likely a month or two past closeout. The work kind of proceeds so quickly during the summer that we are still collecting pricing on some of the changes that occur over the summer through into the fall. So for example, last year, we didn't actually finish pricing everything out that had to be changed until about November.
Okay, so a little ways off.
So October would be too soon for us to kind of
We could give a number with 60 to 70% certainty beyond of the difference between expended and budget.
Just knowing how long the lead time is to be able to push anything forward, it'd be good to, before the end of the calendar year.
Yeah, we can more than likely give a conservative estimate of what to expect, and then you could proceed with planning using that number, and then if there's extra, it can be most likely folded into a contingency or a small project of sorts.
Okay.
In that asphalt area at Florida you're mentioning, or other campuses where you can't bring equipment in.
Yes.
On that campus a lot, but not daily. Like how are there areas that really have to be addressed, or is it really serviceable, for a while until we can take care of that?
They're serviceable. You can use them and patch them as needed. If you looked at the large open blacktop area at Del Rey, where the asphalt is literally coming out of the ground, and huge holes are opening up. So it's nowhere near that. That is absolutely not serviceable, which is why we're trying to address it. But Glorieta, they'll survive another year.
Okay. Another year.
If nothing was done, they would absolutely survive another year.
But their blacktop is potentially getting redone. It's really just those in betweens. Are you saying those only have a year? Like it's really what the tables are?
The tables, yes. It's not that they only have a year. We can just say with relative confidence that they will absolutely last another year. It's hard to say it's hard to say, as we haven't done any soil sampling or soil profiling in the area, so we don't know how much more settling there's going to be throughout the area. As we've seen at OAS, when we redid the pavement between the student services building and the solar panels, the solar lot in the back by the bus stop, that subgrade was very, very compromised, and it required a considerable amount of work for us to actually make that stable enough to pave. And even then, it's not ideal. Unfortunately, the cost to basically take all of that dirt out and bring new soil in and compact it was extremely cost prohibitive.
Yeah, that's what's in our facilities master plan. Those type of costs.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but it was, luckily it has held up and the solution did work. That solution could be implemented in other parts, but we do want to caution that it was a measured risk by doing it to allow, more than likely for the fact that that area wouldn't have been able to have been worked on for quite a while. So that's why it was done there. While we have the ability to do things like lime treat the soil or bring in new base in those areas, especially if the idea would be to potentially regrade and level it out. If you know, in Orinda, the slopes and some of those are quite steep. So there's those large steps with one building effectively being the retaining wall for the other side. Again, there is a catch there that will require some engineering. So it's also weighing the difference between the engineering costs to do something like that and patching.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Here for the rest.
Yeah, is there any public comment on this?
There's
one?
no public comment.
All right, we can move forward.
All right, so the change order for Blueprint Express Corporation, we are required to supply hard copy plans on site for the inspector, both the inspector of record and for the DSA field inspector for inspection at any time, and that is what these costs are. So the previous PO was only for the first set of plans for the first half of the mod, and the PO was not extended to cover this half of the modernization.
Okay, any questions, comments?
It's necessary.
Yeah, any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, this is on for action.
Mrs. Hillary, I move that the board approve the change order for Blueprint Express Corporation.
This is Benita, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next one?
So this is for the FF&E and outfitting of all of the student services building with the additional furniture. And I believe there's additional items that was added to this from one workplace to cover other buildings as well.
No, so this is just the proposal, and actually Sarah and Dylan, right? We're working with one workplace together on, this is the proposal just for the student services building. So as part of my E&I, we have not engaged them in talked about it, but we haven't engaged them in other non-Measure E projects. So they're working on design, renderings, proposals, and then based on that, we'll work through quotes for vendors, right?
Okay. Any questions, comments? I think this is very straightforward. Any public comment?
No public comment.
Right, and this one is also on for action.
Mrs. Hillary, I move that the board approve the One Workplace Design Studio Services proposal.
This is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
This item is an ad service for HKIT for drafting the additional sink that's requested for the student dining area. So despite the simplicity of adding a sink, unfortunately, it does have to be engineered and drawn to be ADA compliant. Then it must be submitted to DSA for review and then go through the comment period along with the rest of it, and then returned, responded to, returned to DSA again, and then approved. So that whole process is what this covers.
Thank you.
Again, no choice.
Yeah, it's not optional,
Yeah.
so
No, you have to do it.
any other questions, comments, Benita? Good. Okay, public comment?
No public comment.
All right, this is on for action.
This is Benita. I move that we approve to the change order for H-Kit Architects additional services for the OIS 30s wing remodel.
This is that I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Brings us to item E.
So this item is a small holdover from the switch over to the new student services building. So if anybody remembers, the old teacher's lounge had a card reader and the alarm keypad, which was used to access the building and deactivate the alarm. Now that everything has been shifted over to the new student services building, and that is becoming the student dining area, the keypad and the card reader are no longer needed or required. So this would be the cost to remove those items and then update the monitoring of the alarm.
You, any questions or comments? Okay, any public comment? No public comment. This is on for action. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Appreciate it. All right, next we have our board policies. Items listed under the board policies section are typically updates and new policies or administrative regulations that have been recommended by the California School Boards Association. These policies are generally acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There is no discussion of specific policies before the board vote unless a member of the board, staff, or public requests specific items to be discussed and or removed from the board policies section. It is understood that the administration recommends approval of all board policies as presented. Each item in the board policy section approved by the board shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended. Is there any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Okay, this is up for action.
This is Hillary. I move that we approve the board policies in 10B through G.
This is Benita, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, next up are communications and announcements.
Yes, we have Charles here from OEA.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, district leadership, staff, families, and the Orinda community. Again, I'm Charles Shannon, President of the Orinda Education Association. And as we enter the final stretch of the school year, I am amazed by the incredible dedication of our teachers. And I want to say in our support staff that we have in our classrooms and throughout our school, amazing work. May is a month of intense momentum, a season where educators expertly balance the heavy complexities of closing the year while remaining anchored in their commitment to the well-being of every student. In the midst of this busy season, our teachers are doing the vital work of bringing our values to life. Through their partnership with the district, they continue to weave Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, mental health awareness, and now LGBTQIA awareness in the very fabric of our classrooms. The collective effort of bringing the LGBTQIA visibility forward to the month of May is deeply appreciated. In doing so, we ensure our students feel the full strength of our support. To our teachers, your ability to manage the immense workload of the year's end without ever losing sight of the need for full inclusion is nothing short of remarkable. You are the reason safety and belonging are lived experiences here in Orinda. Thank you for your tireless effort, your heart, and ensuring that every student finishes the year feeling seen, valued, and celebrated. So thank you again for all your support. It's incredible the progress we're making in Orinda. It's truly a destination district. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Any cabinet updates?
Yes, Brian.
Yes, so as you recall, last month you graciously passed 2 resolutions regarding staff appreciation for both teachers and classified staff. And just a reminder to all our community out there that May 13th, this Wednesday, is Day of the Teacher, recognized in California. We recognize that here in Orinda. And we're also pleased that it corresponds with our Rotary Luncheon as a celebration of our Teachers of the Year. And then next week, May 17th through 23rd, is our Classified School Employee Week also. And we will be, as administrators, we'll be going out to school sites on Wednesday afternoon for a surprise visit to celebrate them and appreciate staff at the school sites. So all the important work that they do every day. May is a big celebratory time period. So.
Thanks, Brian. I don't think there's any other updates. I'll just say on behalf of Mika and I, we're very excited about the May revise that will come out on Thursday. So there's a big, clearly it's a big budget release and it drives our budget and LCAP and planning for next year. So we will be tuned in. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Board report. Seven, do you have anything?
Yes, I really enjoyed the OIS spring concert. The OIS open house was thriving. It's the most I've ever seen. I've shared this with Aida. It was just wonderful to see all the families there, all the incoming sixth grade families, lots of grandparents as well. I mean, entire families there with the food trucks, and the teachers were just amazing. Same with the Del Rey open house. That one was lovely. And then, just 14 days left. So it's always a lot of emotion and excitement in the school, but really enjoyed today's send off of everyone, our retirees and all. So that's it.
Just like I enjoyed the OIS open house and walking through the classrooms. I have two kids that go to OIS and none of them wanted to go. So I truly went as a board member walking through the classrooms and listening to the
I saw it myself.
And I am at the mayor's liaison meeting tomorrow, and then looking forward to promotion, which my 8th grader will be walking across, and she will be participating in that. So, great.
Don't really have anything else to add other than just excited for the Rotary lunch on Wednesday. It's also always just a nice way to bring the community and our teachers together to recognize them. And also we get to see the field day winners as well, which is always fun. So can't believe we're nearing the end of the school year already.
Let's see, since the last board meeting, Benita and I attended a board coffee. Was at 32 by 2 last week. And I guess it's already a week ago, I got to be part of the surprise celebration for Stephanie Sato as the county teacher finalist, which was really fun. Really nice to be there. And then we'll be at the Rotary Luncheon on Wednesday, which is always a really nice event. And I'm also looking forward to promotion, which will be coming up soon. That's it. All right.
Yes.
Moves us to our consent calendar. Items listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and are acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There is no discussion of these items before the board vote unless a member of the board, staff, or public requests specific items be discussed and are removed from the consent calendar. It is understood that the administration recommends approval of all consent items. Each item on the consent calendar approved by the board shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended. Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
This is on for action.
This is Hillary. I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Is that a second? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next up, our future agenda items.
Okay, so we have 2 meetings left in this school year. Our January 1 meeting, June. Our June 1 meeting will be really it's a focus on the LCAP draft and the proposed budget. We'll also have a quick update on the nature area. And then June 8th, that's a public hearing. So then the community has a week to give us updates and for us to adjust the board input to bring LCAP budget for action. And then we'll also make sure that we do our board meeting schedule for next year.
That's it. All right, that brings us to adjournment. Is there a motion?
This is Hillary. I move that we adjourn.
This is Benita, second.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.